like I don't know if you heard it, but like as soon as we clicked live, my cat just like jogged across the room and leaped across multiple couches and just went nuts.
And it's like they're live. The show's about me. It's all about me.
I love starting a broadcast with a non sequitur. If I could, I'd do it every time.
Yes, people tuning in and be like, the show's about cats, but they have
Yeah,
Transformers on the screen.
yeah. Well, I have multiple cat transformers on my desk because I was just taking those photos. Like, here's Tigatron,
Yep.
uh, and here's Cheetor, and
It,
in the other mode, here's a mutant Tigatron, the prototype colors one.
nice.
So yeah, this can be a show about maybe not this one, but like transforming cats.
I was gonna say, and the one cat that we'll have to avoid.
Yeah. That's on the shelf over there.
Okay, as long as he's on the shelf, it's good.
Yeah. Okay, so welcome to Frenzy Freestyle Sundays. Let me do that proper intro.
Yes.
We're back to talking about comics. I understand that you had some interesting rarities to show off now that you'd managed to dig them out.
That is correct, and actually a few more that I didn't even remember that I had in my possession, since I haven't gone in that box in like so many years. Although I do realize that there's a certain handful that's missing. So I'm not sure where they are, if they're actually missing, and then one key issue is also missing. But I'll go through that as we go through them.
Yeah, because I was gonna say it's interesting because like I never did single issues. Like I said last week, I just bought trade paperbacks until the 2019 when I started picking up single issues. So like, buying the floppies is like a newish thing for me.
Okay. Cool. So you know what? Let's. I would say before we jump into the comic books, I don't know if I have on the screen. I'll double check. But I did watch the Hasbro Pulse.
Oh yeah.
Yes, that
was
was
way more. Yeah, way more to it than I was expecting. I think anybody was expecting.
Yeah, like that was quite an episode. Was it? I think 15 characters.
Yeah, and they weren't kidding because when they started, they said they had 15 things to debut. So when they started talking about the games and stuff and the comics, people were like, okay, so these are taken out of the tally, right? But then that turned out not to be so. They actually had 15 things to introduce. A lot of these things had been leaked already, but a bunch of them hadn't too. And even the ones that had been leaked weren't like as formally. Some of them were just like listings and stuff.
Okay. Yeah. I would say that was quite an episode though. Between the technical issues and just it was a fun episode watching it.
Yeah, I don't even mind the technical stuff because I'm like, that's how you know it's real. There was a part where one guy was just like, and now we're going to talk about Cliff Jumper, and then Cup is on the screen, and there was like 10 seconds of dead air on that.
And the one guy was looking at him like, this isn't Cliff Jumper. But he wasn't saying anything.
Because one of the things that they do during these live streams that I like is they show those physical samples like in hand, right, if they have them. And the other guy was like, I had these lined up in a specific order over here, so you had me confused. Yeah. Hello, BZ Collins on Facebook. We give you a thumbs up back.
Yes, some thumbs up. How are you doing this evening? And how is everyone doing that is all watching? And then were you able to also catch the Hasbro Pulse on Friday afternoon or any time afterwards?
Yeah, because like I said, like they tend to be really. This was way more than people thought. Like I said, toy industry people were like, it's not close to one of the big shows. It's probably not going to be a lot. And then they just like rolled out the red carpet. Like it's interesting because we'd already seen RC. This was just like a more formal debut of it, right? But that was like the least interesting of the things there. Not that she's not interesting because that's a really nice looking design. I like how they got like an Akira bike out of that figure because, like they said, None of these Bumblebee characters had alternate modes designed for the film, so they just had to make these up for the toy line without compromising the robot designs.
Right. Although I would say, I mean, I haven't had a chance to, to hold any of the RC toys. But looking at on the screen, like I think this one would probably be my favorite out of all the RCs that have been created.
It's just they just happen to make like a really good looking design, right? Regardless
Mm-hmm.
of the source, and like the robot looks good with its like mech designs going on. It's just a good looking figure.
Yes, the robot mode was actually the most impressive because I know
Yeah,
from all the earlier designs and up until not too long ago, there was just always the issue of the backpack and just how it looked overall. But this one, I'm
yeah.
like, the entire figure
Yeah.
is a proper RC.
It's why it's because they had to go the other way because they started with a robot mode design they couldn't change, and that robot mode didn't have a backpack. So they said we got to start with a robot that doesn't have a backpack, and then figure out a vehicle mode from there.
Nice. So I mean, I wonder if all any other versions in the future are going to kind of follow that that design idea.
Yeah, well, maybe. I mean, she's been a bike before, and this is like a nice halfway compromise between like the prime motorcycle type and like her old car type.
Right.
Yeah. Do we have images of some of the other stuff?
Let's see. I was checking it out from our website, childrenofprimus.com.
Yes, where we have these news digests that you can conveniently find. It's kind of like a search engine just for Transformers news. That's what it's kind of come out as.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Although I've seen people sharing the images from the Hasbro Pulse. I don't recall if we have any images of it though.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think if we click through to some of the articles that these link to, they have like the images there.
Right. So you know what? We'll come back to that in a bit. So let's see. So the next news we have.
Oh yeah. Legacy figures are starting to show up places. Even though like a lot of the pre-orders, at least like on like GameSpot and stuff, GameStop,
Right.
they don't have it until like January, February, March, May, June, July, till like July. But like these are already showing up early, so I think they were just hedging their bets with those orders,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because people are picking up like Bulkhead and stuff already.
Okay, yeah. And let's see, where is this cited? In Chile.
Yeah. Chile, Malaysia. I've heard tell that the little Bumblebee Studio figure guys are starting to come out in Canada. So like this group of stuff is just starting to filter out there.
Nice. Poland as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see, what else do we have in the news?
That's just what I was talking about.
Yep.
I think what got cut off is that they're in Canada because I heard about these starting to show up. Not in my area, but they're getting there. It's a Bumblebee Ravage and the inexplicably tiny Bumblebee Shockwave, and the big Black Zarak if you want a Titan of a Master Force guy, and Lift Ticket, who I do want to pick up, which is Red Diaclone Hoist from the Earthrise figure.
Right. Yeah, so it says that they are out in Canada and were found in Walmart in Ontario.
Yeah. Well, Lift Ticket and Black Zarak are GameStop. I always got to pause to make sure I say the right one. GameStop exclusive, so I guess they showed up there. Why couldn't they have just kept the EB Games name? It's much less confusing.
Mm-hmm. Let's see, what else do we... Oh, yes.
Oh, here we go.
Review.
My old review of a Masterpiece Hot Rod, one of the previous like pre-studio series less than perfect but interesting attempts to try and do a perfect hot rod. And it's really interesting to go back and look at all their previous tries, right?
Mm-hmm.
because I'm like, this one is just like so interesting in how close it gets it, because it's really fun to transform and handle, but it just does not look right, especially in its robot mode with the big torso and stuff.
Yeah, like the torso does stand out with, in terms of like that slight detail. And same in the vehicle mode, because
Yeah.
I mean, from other versions, you can, that same hood piece, and the headlights, they just kind of stand out between the different variations.
Yeah, like I say in the review, like the animation model cheated and had it like physically shrink down to look more proportionate. So that's why like the Studio Series one and like Fans Toys Hoodlum just like do a fake hood chest, like they hide the real one and they have like a different sculpted one come out there, so it's like proportionate. Like I mentioned, the Studio Series guy, the guy that finally nailed the design officially, like that's not the actual car hood, right? That's a fake piece so that they could make it actually look like proportionate.
Right.
The real one is like folded up in the backpack. Which, if you're imitating an animation model, you got to do whatever cheats you can to make it like look right,
This is true.
Yeah. But yeah, it's interesting, like in a post this thing world, to compare stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. All right, and let's see, what else do we have? Okay, so there's that. Oh yes, and there's another review from the week before.
Oh yeah, Premium Finish Optimus, the insanely detailed Bumblebee guy.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I did go into detail about what's different from the old Studio Series one, and like this was a great figure, and they put a bit more paint on it that makes it even better. I don't quite know if it's worth getting if you have the Studio Series guy like I did, but that figure was rare. Like I had to get it at a convention, right? Because it barely came out here. So
Okay.
What I said at the end of this is the aftermarket being what it is, this might be worth getting because a lot of people probably don't have this figure, right?
Right.
So like, well, if you're in for one, you might as well get the Takara one they just put out with the nice extra deco and stuff.
Makes sense.
Because he just has like a ton of little things on him.
Well, I mean, it is it is the attention to detail.
Yeah, that's a picture of the character model that I did for like a comparison.
Nice.
Or rather, that's like a 3A figure, but those are like super accurate. So it's the best way to do like a direct comparison.
Right.
Yeah. One thing I really liked on this was they did like, I guess because they can afford to do this with the premium finish stuff, but they gave him like wear and tear, but it's way more subtle than the Siege figures.
Okay.
Yeah. They did like metallic weathering on his like arms and like on his legs. Just stuff like that.
Cool.
Just a really nice looking version of a figure that was already really good.
Right.
You hear my cat?
Oh yeah, she wants to be in the show.
Yeah. Oh, that's Snook. He's the one that never comes over here.
Oh, okay.
Like, you got to come to me.
Well, over on Instagram.
More lamppost challenge, eh?
So 234 Toy Box that had put this post out, and I had replied, saying a joke about making a lamppost, and they did another post doing so.
Oh, excellent. Look at that. I love the like lamppost challenge.
Yes.
I could I could do that with the Tigatron I just took pictures of like really easily, because the head can just like flip away. Like, there you go.
What Transformer can you not lamppost?
I think I was having trouble with G1 Hot Rod because there wasn't quite enough arm articulation.
Right.
But it's just like you got to hide the head, you put the arms out to the sides, you hide the fists if you can, and you lean them forward a little bit, and that's all there is. That is a Cybertron lamppost.
Whereas like with G1 Hot Rod, it's like the most articulation you get with the arms is just the slight upward from the elbows, and and you can't bend them forward. Like it's just stiff.
Yeah, you can make a really good one out of G1 Optimus. I found that out.
Yes. All right. Well, we have gotten through the news. Any news that you know of that we haven't spoken about?
Kingdom Pterosaur like I said, the Golden Disc Pterosaur is shipping out to people. So if you pre-ordered him, like he should be here soonish. This is one of the Beast Wars characters they didn't quite have room for in the main line, so they made him an Amazon exclusive.
Okay.
Yeah, they almost have the full season 1 cast. Like in the review that I'm putting out on Monday, which is Tigatron, I took some photos of all the season 1 Maximals because he was the last one. And the Predacons, now that this guy's coming out, they're just missing Tarantulas and Inferno, and those guys are rumored for Legacy, so they're gonna have the full cast, which is great.
Nice. Hey man, I mean that's impressive. Considering over the decades, like to be able to, build a full cast of Beast Wars for a collection.
It's not been possible since the original line, and even then, the original line, they didn't do TV show only characters like Transmutate and Ravage, right? So. And like all the other times they've done Beast Wars, like in Universe and Thrilling 30, they'll just like pick like 2 or 3 and sprinkle them in, and that's it.
Right.
So for them to just do the whole cast in one go has been great if you were like a Beast Wars fan.
That is impressive. So I mean, I could imagine many of the Beast Wars fans are happy about that and will look into investing into getting the entire line.
Yeah, I'm like, Kingdom's been my favorite line they've done so far. Not just because they did all Beast Wars, but they did like the giant Rodimus Prime and a bunch of other G1 characters. And yes, I have RC dangling from the guns. RC, this was an Earthrise figure, but they re-released her in Kingdom, so she's in that line too.
Nice. Well, that's a cool action pose.
Yeah, just this one line had like everything, and there's a really good blaster in the final wave. They're doing a new one of him. I hope that guy makes it to Canada.
Nice. Okay.
So they did the full Beast Wars cast, and they found time to do a bunch of Generation 1 guys too. So
nice.
Yeah, that's about all I gotta say for stuff that's happening.
Right, but then going back to the Hasbro Pulse live stream, the colors and the paint jobs that they did on all the characters were rather impressive.
Oh yeah, like those legacy Beast Wars guys that are all repaints. And that's probably been the best thing about the live streams is that that you wouldn't get in like other mediums is these are the designers like right there. They're just talking about like these are the guys making the figures, and they're talking about the stuff they did to make them like straight up. I think that's really nifty. Like they were talking about Beast Wars Sandstorm, and Mark, the guy that makes it, was like talking about like all the specific little things he was trying to do. And I always thought that's really nifty, like presenting it like that, talking about how Night Prowler was based on a canceled figure, and they put an Autobot symbol on his forehead because the original had one. So it's just little things like that you only notice in formats like these.
And it's the advantage of having the online access now, whereas like years ago, just to have that experience, like you would either have to pay to go to a convention, or pay to speak to those people if those people even showed up.
Because I think in the Toy Fair days, like they'd have designers up there, and you just kind of hear people maybe tweet or do text summaries of what they said instead of having these recordings. It was all very hearsay. Instead, this stuff, not only is it being live streamed, but it's being archived. You can just look at them whenever you want, right?
This is true.
Yeah, because like I sometimes pay attention to the Transformers Wiki Discord, and they're like, "This is really good for archiving, so we can note these things, like who designed what figure and stuff."
you know, especially like years later when you know, people start debating on you know, debating on the technicalities of characters. I'm like, nope, we have it documented. This is who the, you know, who the character is, the idea behind the character and everything.
Yeah.
So, you know, so we don't end up with the Cyclonus the, you know, the Cyclonus debate that's been going on for
Cyclonus,
decades.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I wonder, and I remember thinking this during the stream. So they did Grimlock, they did Slag, and now they did Sludge, right? And they're doing all. They obviously, and these are all in the Studio Series line, so they're supposed to be the movie figures, right?
Right.
I'm presuming they'll do Swoop. You think they're going to do Snarl so we can have all the Dinobots, or will they skip him because he wasn't in the movie?
That's a good question.
Yeah. It would be funny if they just like didn't make him because they were like, well, he wasn't there with them. But you know, they could make him and be like, he was on screen for like a half second in that one part. So like, we're making a Studio Series figure of that specifically, and they should make the backdrop behind him the little recessed pit they were having the briefing in when he appeared, and that would be a great background to give him.
Oh yeah, I mean they have to. Let's you know, like any true fans, like they have to do it.
Yeah. I think my favorite thing I remember from a stream is I talked about how like you have like Scourge and the Sweep, and they're just slightly different shades of blue. And I remember them talking about it on stream and just straight up being like, we're trying to copy the movie, but the movies and the TV show's colors are a little bit all over the place, so it's hard to get a good source for exactly what shade to make him. So we also kind of did both for that reason.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah,
because I mean, in season 3 there were a couple episodes where, you know, the colors were like really impressive. You know, the artwork and everything, and it's like you could tell they put the time into it. Whereas then, you know, the few others, it's just kind of like just slap on some colors on these characters and then just hope children watch it.
Yeah. I'm just also starting to unbox this pterosaur here. He comes like crumpled. I'm gonna have to like transform him from packaging mode into pterodactyl mode.
Oh, okay.
Well, he comes with one of the golden discs, not the Voyager one that was in Kingdom, but there was a second disc on the show. So it's got a different set of symbols on it.
Okay. And then
it's an ugly bastard. Look at that face.
Nice.
Yeah. Slowly figure this out. Yeah.
All right. Well, while you're working on that, I have my comics.
Yeah. Let's start talking about comics because you know I can multitask. I'm just gonna slowly do this while we talk. You know.
All right.
Just take scissors to little ties.
Remove that for the moment. So before I jump into these other issues.
Oh, speaking of comics, the book club I'm in where we're slowly rereading Marvel, we just passed the issue where Optimus Prime's first death in the Marvel comics.
Okay.
Where it's something because you know, like spoilers for a like 30-year-old comic, but he and Megatron go into a virtual reality video game as convinced by a human to do so they don't blow up the thing thereafter. And Megatron cheats, Optimus still wins, and Optimus says, no, I can't accept this victory because I accidentally killed some NPCs in the game, which we don't do as Autobots. And they had bombs wired up to their heads, so he tells the kid to press the button and it blows himself up over it.
Crazy.
Yeah, and like they already planned for his return because the whole point is his mind also got copied onto like a data disk. But like that was how he died. He died in the movie around the same time. They were like, we should do that in the comic, and they just wrote like I like this comic. It's usually pretty good, but this was not a good story. Like,
I mean, looking back at it, I was like, you know, they saved Optimus Prime onto a floppy disk.
Yeah,
So not even a diskette, like a floppy disk, which holds a lot less information, and and the amount of information it does store, it's not enough to to hold a sentient being personality.
I told this to Jess as I was reading it. And she was like, "Guess he doesn't have a lot going on up there." Yeah, but it was a funky set of issues, and then the issue after that, they decided they wanted to get Megatron out too, so they have Shockwave try and pull a Starscream and actually do it successfully. He is like, well, Megatron's obviously out of his mind, so he hires the Predacons to hunt him down. Megatron gets his face swiped off, and it's like surprisingly violent. And Megatron wins, but then he goes insane and walks into the space bridge and sets it off without any destination.
Crazy.
Yeah. But you see, that was a good issue.
Actually, what number issue would? Because I'm guessing you're still earlier on.
Yeah, it's 20 something. Let me pull the list up.
Okay, so that's not
because we have like a reading list as we go.
How many issues do you guys do, like, or like, what's their intervals?
Well, the person that organizes does it by story arc, so it's like, it's like something like 6 to 8 a week, but like it's not consistent. It's whatever the good starting and breaking points are of the story.
Okay, cool.
Gotta go to Google Sheets.
All right, so I realize, yeah. So the first half of my collection is missing. So I have from number, let's see, 37.
Ooh, I think that's the one I was just talking. No, that's this is 37. This is way after me. Never mind. I'm like the one that I just read was 25 according to the list.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so I don't know these ones yet. I never got this far in the Marvel comics. So this is interesting. Suburban Shootout. It's the Predacons chasing Buster Witwicky, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah. I love these covers.
Yeah, and I mean it's only been only because it's been so many years of of not reading them. So it's trying to remember what happened in each issue.
Yeah. As a point of reference, because I just checked, Bob Budiansky's final issue was 55, so that's still one of his.
Ooh, okay. So then he was at least he was still good, still with it up until the 50th issue, and a few issues after.
Yeah. And like even after he left, like I said, he was still writing the character bios, so like his hand was still there in some form, right? Because he was creating the characters that would then be put in by the other authors.
All right. So the one part of issue 37 is it introduces the break into the miniseries of the Headmasters.
Oh yeah. I guess that's when they enter the main story.
Yeah. So that's that's when they have their own 4 issues.
Yeah.
So I don't have issue 1 for some reason, but I do have issue number 2.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's interesting because everybody always like whenever they show the Headmaster stuff, they always show that first issue with Fort Max ripping his head off. So
yes,
like I'm not familiar with these covers. So that's interesting. That's just like Scorponok going ham.
Let's see.
Yeah, just blow it up there. Yeah, that's a good looking cover with his like Nell Yomatov block colors.
Mm-hmm.
Just straight up purple and green.
All right, and then after that is another one of I really did like a lot of the covers. So this one would be issue number 3 of Headmasters.
The Love That Kills. I was like, is that like Dazzler or like Gem and the Holograms on the cover? I can't tell.
I can't tell either. I mean, it almost the top one almost looks like Doctor Strange.
Yeah. I like how in the top the Marvel bug in the corner is the iconic Fort Max head rip off thing I was talking about.
Yes. Yeah, many of the issues afterwards had the like once he came into the series, many of the issues had the Fort Max head rip off.
Yeah, I'm just like, gosh, these are like totally unfamiliar to me, you know?
Oh, crazy.
Yeah, I'm like, like I know the broad strokes of the stories, but like I've never like looked closely at these covers or anything.
You know, and just looking in this, like I didn't even remember there was Computron and Abominus in here as
Yeah.
well.
They got all those funky ads, like an ad for Zit Cream.
Oh, the ads. Looking at like some of these old issues, a lot of the funny ads for like all the different Marvel comic books.
Yeah, a lot of ads for GoBots, surprisingly.
Actually, there's a couple for Dungeons and Dragons.
Like just the game, or like the show, or the comics.
I think the game.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Like the back of one issue here.
Oh wow. The big wedding. that was like an important thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because like I've seen that advertisement before, just from being a person on the internet.
Nice. Okay, and then let's see the next issue. Actually, this one I remember. I brought around with me everywhere, so it's like the cover slightly got damaged.
Oh yeah, nice. The Hot Rod's American debut, instead of having anything to do with the movie or Rodimus Prime.
Yep.
Very pinkish purple. That's just how they colored him in Marvel, eh?
Yeah, because same as in the bios. He's also like that pinkish purple, and then Rodimus has more of his actual colors.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, actually, I remember this page being one that I really enjoyed.
Oh, what's going on there? They're just like jumping into action and forming the heads.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. I mean, like, I haven't read this, but I've seen the Rebirth, so this is just makes me think of that.
And it's funny. When people complain about the Rebirth, and I'm like, if they read the comic books, they would more enjoy Headmasters and Target Masters, because they just did a better job with it in the comic books.
Yeah, like I'm looking forward to getting over to that, because I'm like, I wouldn't. Oh yeah, Sean Taff on Facebook has a question. Yeah, go ahead. While I'm waiting, I just want to say it's interesting, because I would not compare the comics to the cartoon, because they're very apples and oranges, because they're trying to do two different things.
Yes.
Like, they both have ups and downs. I think the comics are more ambitious with the stories that happen in them. Mm-hmm. Like, they have big arcs and bigger stakes, but the monthly format means that they don't really have a consistent cast of characters, whereas the show's biggest strength is like you got to spend time with the characters and get to know them way more.
Right.
So that's sort of the up and down of both formats.
Well, I mean, also depending on the people behind the show.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you see many other shows where you've got the episode plot within the season plot within the series plot.
Mm-hmm.
Which season 2 didn't have that.
Yeah, they sort of abandoned that like format that they had going with the first season.
Mm-hmm. And there's issue 38.
Oh yeah, I guess when they entered the main series.
Yeah.
I look at those Scorponaut colors, eh? That's like that looks like Double Punch from the like the European Action Master Elite line, which I don't think that's on purpose, but like the pink and the blue, that's like very much that like look.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So many covers, like even early on and continuing to late, like they get their main guys right, but the secondary people who appear would always have funky color schemes.
And I wonder what that, why that is.
Sean Taft says, I'm wanting to start getting into the comics as I was never able to as a kid. Love the TV series and the movie. Where do y'all recommend I start? As far as the TV series, my favorite was season 1. Huh. Now, do you mean like old comics or new comics? Because I can talk about new comics, and I'll get my trusty hardcover and put that up on screen.
And
Give me one
Sean,
second.
thank you for joining us. Like, comment, and subscribe to Facebook and to YouTube or any other of our channels.
Yeah. So every time people ask, this is the thing I always bring out. Okay, so this is the 2019 continuity reboot, and it's a very good jumping on point. This is the hardcover. I'm sorry, this one is the hardcover of the first 12 issues. It's called The World in Your Eyes. It's just called Transformers, and it's written by Brian Ruckley. There's so many ones that are just called Transformers, but this is the 2019 one. Brian Ruckley was the writer, and like I'll get to that question in a second. This is set like on Cybertron before the war even starts, and like goes into detail about how it begins, and it's like a really deep look at their civilization. But yeah, that's my go-to like recommendation if you want to get into the comics. Yeah. IDW is a different company, which you know, but like its comics aren't in the same universe. Like it's a hard continuity reboot, like Marvel Ultimate or DC's New 52. Like it's just a full start over. Which is good because you can jump into them. IDW's had two universes because back in 2005 is when it started, and then in 2019 they decided to end everything and start over from scratch again, which is where the book I just showed you came in. A lot of good stories in the old IDW continuity. Last Stand of the Wreckers is a good one on that I always talk about. You can just read that on its own without knowing the rest of the comic universe. It's about the Wreckers, and they go on a mission to a prison and to break some stuff out, and everything gets complicated. That's by James Roberts and Nick Roche. That's a good one if you want some more IDW stuff. But yeah, this one's my go-to if you want stories about the Generation 1 guys. But old Marvel, yeah, the IDW has just collected it in a few places. Let me get my reprint. Once again, I'm just running over my bookshelf.
And while Anthony's running for that comic, Sean from Facebook mentions that he was kind of confused with all of season 3 and 4.
Buddy, you think you were confused? When I watched it in the 90s in Generation 2, I mentioned this the other week, they threw in random season 3 episodes into their like season 1 and 2 reruns without any context. It was only a couple of them, but for like really young me that was watching it, it was like super confusing.
Yeah, so it's only, in a sense of anyone who watched all 4 seasons originally, kind of understood what they did during Generation 2. But it's funny, ironically, or a coincidence from the TFCon Toronto, where the one speaker had mentioned, here's the order of cartoons to watch. Because if you miss a season or watch them out of order, it does create that confusion. So within the original G1 series, you have your season 1, with I believe the first few episodes of the More Than Meets the Eye. So you have all of season 1. It introduces your like the original toy lines. Then you have season 2, which then introduces the newer Autobots, between like Trax, Hoist, Blaster, and then on the Decepticon side, like the Coneheads. Then you go into the movie, where some characters end up dying, from the movie, and only a few make it into season 3. Then you have season 3 where Rodimus is now the leader, and Galvatron. Rodimus is leader of Autobots, Galvatron of the Decepticons, and then you have season 4, where Optimus Prime is now the leader again, where he comes back at the end of season 3. Whereas season 4, which is only 3 episodes, that's where they introduced the headmasters and target masters. Although in the comic book, they also had the power masters. So it's the one thing where the show ended in 87, but the toys still continued. So there were still a lot of good toys that followed after the cartoon ended.
Mm-hmm. I was going to say, if you want to talk about Marvel reprints, there's been a few of them. My recommendation is the ones IDW did called Transformers Classics. This is the first volume of them. There's 8 volumes total. This is the first 13 Marvel issues. Now, the reason I recommend these ones is because there were some rights problems with Marvel, so sometimes some of these collections, they're not allowed to reprint every issue. Like, for example, the 3rd issue had Spider-Man in it, and for some of the previous collections, like, they couldn't put that one in there. IDW's classics reprints are the complete ones. So, like, if you want to read old Marvel, these are the volumes to get. And they all have, you can tell because they all have these black covers with like one character on the front. Yeah.
All right, cool.
So that's my go-to if you want to read the old ones.
And I guess while we're speaking on on the slight variations, I think I have moved one out of place here. 1 second here. There should be 2 of them. Where did I put the other one? But there is another comic that I didn't realize that I had until just last week. And this one here.
Oh, hey, that's a DreamWave comic. What issue is that? Is it like, I see 3 up there. Is that the issue number, or is that the month?
Let me see, number 3 from June. So issue number 3.
Oh, cool. I wonder which, because DreamWave did a few, like, I don't remember if they started, because they did a few like volumes, but I'm not sure if they started off at 1 again each time they got to a new volume.
Well, I think I also I'm not sure either. Like, I believe I also have number 2. Which I remember seeing number 2 last week. But yeah, the artwork I actually really like in this issue. Yeah. Like right here from the first page.
Yeah, it's interesting because they were trying to go for a manga perspective because that was the style at the time.
Yes.
That's you can always tell when it's Dreamwave Optimus because he has those white borders around the windows on his chest. That's like a uniquely Dreamwave art quirk.
Got it. Oh.
Okay, he says, awesome. I'm definitely going to check those out. Glad we could help. Like I said, IDW's Transformers Classics, if you want to read the old stories. Transformers 2019 by Brian Ruckley, if you want to read something new. Last Stand of the Wreckers by James Roberts and Nick Roche. If you want to read something not quite new, but newish, but is a good story. Yeah. Those are my recommendations as for good comics. Yeah. Like I said, I've never read any of the core Dreamwave. I just read their Armada run because I have an omnibus of it because IDW reprinted it in as one big thing.
Right.
And then they reprinted their first 2 War Within miniseries as one big thing, so I've read those, but nothing else. So it's a little bit of a blank spot to me.
Okay. It seems like I have all of the obscure ones that you haven't touched upon yet.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah. You're welcome, Sean. He said, awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah. I'm a little bit biased about Dreamwave because I know for a fact that it just cuts off without ending because the company went under.
Right.
Like in multiple places. Like Armada has an ending. War Within were miniseries, so they both have endings. So that's why those are the only ones I've read. Because I'm
There's
like,
a
I don't know if I want to invest in a long form story if I know it's not going to see a resolution.
right. It's I wonder if at some point, like any fans would make a resolution to those storylines that didn't end.
Yeah, like I said, it would have to be fan made because the rights are kind of stuck in limbo. I remember Simon Furman. He wrote Armada. He straight took over Armada and he wrote Energon. Way later on, when it became really clear that a continuation was never going to happen, he posted like scripts and synopses on his website of how Energon would have continued and concluded. And oh, hi, Spectral Skull, on Twitch, waving at us. I
Good
think he
evening.
did the same for his the third War Within. So like those have like, I mean, it's not the same as reading a comic, but he did write down what was supposed to happen in the stuff he wrote. So that's out there.
Okay. So here is another issue.
Hey, Generation 2, my jam. That's
Yep.
that's the GI Joe crossover that led into Generation 2,
Yes.
where Cobra gave Megatron his Generation 2 toy body so they could promote it, and then he'd go on to be like that in the main book.
hmm And
I've
you
never
know,
read that, but I want to because you know how I love my Generation 2.
and there you go.
Ah, there we go.
There
That's the
you
first
go.
issue of it, and it's the '90s, so it's got a foil cover. They love their foil covers. Oh,
Yep.
that's a good one. That's a good one. It's like, it's so edgy. They're like, this is not your father's Autobot. He has bullets in him and fluids oozing down from those bullet wounds, and he has a big gun, and it's smoking, and it's just the cheesiest thing ever. And I just love it for that.
Yeah. Like when I read it, I'm just like, okay, this is impressive.
Yeah.
And then
Like,
there we
like
go.
please understand, I am not making fun of it when I say these things. I actually like really like all these things, right?
hmm
Oh my god, Fort Max gets the axe. I've seen that cover before. I've never read it, but I've seen that cover. And he's got the big gun, and it's just like,
Yep.
it's like so of that time period.
Yeah. Like when they really broke off from the storyline. It's just like, okay, now we're getting into it.
Well, it was Furman writing those too, right? So like, regardless of the '90s trappings, it was more of his stuff, right?
hmm But I mean, you could tell like there wasn't although I mean with the original run of the comics, I mean there were the few issues of it being violent, but in the sense of like G2, like it's
Yeah, they went ham.
oh yeah, yeah.
They were trying real hard to make it like the most like just the most.
You
Oh,
know,
I got this guy fully unpacked and assembled while I'm here. It's
ooh,
a
nice.
pterosaur, the pterodactyl.
Nice.
Yeah, maybe when I'm back later, I'll try transforming him. But yeah, like he's a mean looking sucker. Remember, this guy was basically Starscream. Same personality, same kind of voice too. He wanted
Right.
to take over. He was screechy. He was a red flying guy. Yeah, but those Generation 2 issues, though, I'm looking forward to that once I get through Marvel with these guys. I want to
Nice.
finally read those.
I like now that I have them out, like I'm actually going to take time and just start rereading a lot of them again.
Yeah, that'd be exactly. I envy having those that you can do that there.
Cool.
Just see what it's like.
There's this book that I did not remember that I had.
Oh, is that the? Can you show me some pages out of it? I think I know what that is, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
That's the one with all the pictures of toys, right?
Yes.
Though those are like artists still use that book because they say it's like one of the best references ever for like pictures of the figures.
So that's inside the first page, and
Yeah.
then they break down. Let's see. There we go. So So just before the figures,
oh yeah. This is 1986, so these are the movie years. Yeah, they did like, because I've flipped through some of these before. I don't own any of them, but I've seen a few pages out of them, so I know that they're just like ludicrously good. Hubcap.
Yep,
There we go.
I was just like hubcap as soon as you jump into the book.
Yeah, because it's just like it's just really good pictures of each mode and all the accessories and like the tech specs. Like that's just like the perfect Generation 1 guide. I know that.
There we go.
Yeah, the aerial bots and the cassettes. Yeah, because I know they did all of Generation 1, and I know they did a Generation 2 book. I don't know if they went past that, but yeah, it's just like a complete run-through of the whole original thing.
Yeah, so I mean, it's funny, like, you know, not having the toy sheet with me.
Yeah.
You know, it's like a book version of like all the toy sheets combined.
Yeah. It's funny, those 90s comics were trying so hard to be valuable because that was the speculator market. This is probably actually really valuable because it's unofficial, so it's not like you're going to see it like collected or reprinted or anything, you know?
Yeah, like this I actually looked up on eBay, and it's I believe American-wise the price will fluctuate between about like $40 to $80 for this issue.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense because that's like
even more.
It's like both rare and like really useful and interesting because it's just the whole thing.
Yes, but I mean it's actually to even when you look at it, it's you know, between a full shot of the toy and then there's like the head.
Yeah,
like the head for each.
They just like really figured out how to present it like the best way they could.
Oh, and there's
the fourth accessory list. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's combiner leaders were all quadruple changers between robot, vehicle, part, you know, component for the combiner, and then their battle station mode. Or repair bay.
Okay, it's almost 9. I need to dip out because I need to go pick Jess up.
Right, that is correct.
And this is an interesting time to leave. I'll be back as soon as I can. I want to see more of these.
All right.
Godspeed. I will return.
Cool.
I'm just gonna mute this and.
There we go. So while Anthony runs for a moment, so I will show off a few more of the issues that I have for the G1 comic books. But again, you know, shout out to everyone that is watching this evening. You know, and any questions that you have, you know, we can definitely try to answer them. So a few of the other issues that I will re-show once Anthony gets back, which I know he's you know, he hasn't read any of these as yet. Here's another one. Let's see, issue 39 from the original series. Issue 40, where, you know, it mentions the return of Optimus Prime, you know, where I believe they started working on him as the Power Master. You know, issue 41. And one of my favorite covers, issue 42. So by this time, let's see if they showed a year. I don't believe they showed a year on the cover. But this time the cartoon would have ended, but the comics and the toys were still continuing. which is when they still made some pretty decent G1 toys, but between Power Master Optimus, Piranacon, which is the combiner of the Seacons, let's see, Dreadwing, Ape Face, Skull, Snapdragon, and Ape Face, I believe, or the two Horicons, who are also triple changers. Those were really good underutilized figures that just barely made it into the Rebirth episode. Let's see. So one issue I am missing is number 50. Just before that, another classic character in the Transformers universe, Circuit Breaker. So I know we spoke about her last week. So I know when Anthony gets back, we'll mention her again. The Sparkabots. There we go. The Seacons. Another issue here. Return of Megatron. And issue 50 was one of the anniversary issues, which that comic book I'm missing, not sure why, but it was part of the Underbase saga where Starscream had tracked down the Underbase, which was a lost component of Cybertron. Which many movies and the cartoons have had variations of the story, including the recent cartoon with was it the Combiner Wars, where Starscream ends up overpowering everyone, which is what happens in issue 50. Is he's able to track down and get the power from the Underbase. Which leads to the damage, which leads to a lot of characters being damaged, and the concept of the Pretenders. So the Pretenders in the comic books, the storyline and the concept makes more sense than how it was sold in terms of the toys. Because by then we're into the later parts of G1, and the toys were not as impressive, unfortunately. So Sean from Facebook says, okay, yeah, I was wondering where all those characters came from, the Seacons, Horicons, and etc. So in the cartoon in Rebirth, they do show the Horicons, possibly for like a couple scenes. But all of the later characters in G1 were in the comic book. One of my favorites being the Seacons, because I had Piranacon when he came out, I believe in 87, or probably later in 87. So by then the cartoon ended, so he wasn't in the cartoon. So there were still a lot of good characters that came out after the cartoon ended. In the Japan series, though, they did continue the cartoon. So a lot of those toys that came out later, those characters were in the Japan series of the cartoon. But for sure the comic books kept going with it. So you have let me see, the Protectobots. Sorry, not the Protectobots. Computron, Abominus, I mean, they were in season 3, but they were also later on. Let's see. So Pretenders. I just try and remember because so many other characters. Like Six Shot. Six Shot barely came into Rebirth. But again, he's one of the later characters. Let's see. Oh, and a few others. The Micromasters, the original Micromasters from G1. The toys were actually built. Were actually like really good quality. Let's see. Same as the Throttle Bots. They were in the Return of Optimus Prime. I don't believe they showed them in Rebirth. But all of those toys are later in G1 as well. Let's see if there's any other comics that kind of refer to. Actually, yes. So there we go, the Micromasters on the Autobot side. So they were in the comic books. So at the time, I did have the Micromaster toys, which they came in the set of 4, and the original set were 4 cars for the Autobots, and then they had emergency vehicle set for the Autobots as well, which was a police car, police boat, fire engine, and ambulance. And then they also had a military crew, again for the Autobots. And the Decepticons also had 4 cars. I believe they had jets. I don't recall all the Decepticon ones. But then within the Micromasters, they also had mini bases where each base came with 1 character. And the bases could all combine to form a bigger base. So one of them was, I believe, a fire station. The second one, I believe, was like a little miniature parking lot. But the two of them that I had, you could combine them to form a bigger base. Let's see, what other issues do I have here? Here's another cover. So a Pretender Grimlock. So again, the concept of the Pretenders, without giving away too much information, is basically after Starscream, had damaged a lot of the Transformers within the fight, is where the Pretender concept came from. So again, the concept made sense in the comic book. Now, only because I haven't read these comics in so many decades. There's also the Matrix Quest, which possibly I believe that the Matrix was lost and they were searching for the Matrix. So again, not having read these issues since the 90s, which I'm going to go around and do again, and it is just refreshing myself in terms of these storylines, because I do recall like a lot of the storylines were really cool back then. So as take a minor break before Anthony comes back. A few other comics that I do have in my collection. And early Ninja Turtles. Which which the Ninja Turtles in the comic books were, were more of a dark. The characters were darker in the comic books than the cartoon, especially for the fact that they were ninjas. Although this comic book since it was from Archie's, it's almost more of like the cartoon style. It's just going into like a few of the pages. It's kind of similar to the cartoon style. I do recall there was, another issue of the Ninja Turtles comics where I believe the cover was black and white, and that one follows more of the dark, the dark Ninja Turtles concept, which the first movie is kind of geared towards, whereas the part 2 and part 3 were more of the the cartoonish style. So if you would call it that. Let's see, what other comic books could I pull out while we're waiting? Let's see, this one, which I think they actually created as a issue number 2. I don't think they actually had an issue 1, although I never looked it up, but I've never seen any other issues since. A Sledgehammer, based on the old TV show. So I know anyone from the 80s would remember this TV show. And I mean, it's a similar, it's like a cops and robbers type TV show, and you've just got the one cop who's kind of like his own vigilante, like has his own gun. But in this episode, or in this issue, Spider-Man is also working with him as well. But it's actually cool going back and looking at the classic artwork of a lot of these older comic books. Where the pages are, kind of like that bit of that yellowish tint to them. So definitely. So anytime you have anyone who's who's joined in, you also check out our website, childrenofprimus.com, where we have news and reviews of different news, Transformers related, and we also have our Monday and Friday reviews from our talented writer Anthony, who will be back shortly. And, while he is out, I will bring up the website. And also, Sean, if you're still watching, any other questions you have, feel free to ask. Usually it's 4 of us that's on here, between myself, call me Spinister, DJ Spinister. I used to DJ for a hip hop group many years ago. Cool, you're still here. Yeah, so I used to DJ for a hip hop group many years ago. Another member of our 4-man team named Professor D used to be the lead MC, who's sometimes able to jump in and out of the show, or sometimes he's in the comments. And another member, Mike, he's actually at work this evening, so he may pop in here a bit later, depending where if he's able to get on in time. He does work downtown in within Toronto. Myself, I'm just a bit east of Toronto. Anthony's further east of Toronto, but then Professor D is in the US. And Sean, I should ask, where are you located? Because some of our viewers some of our viewers are in the US, across Canada, and then Spectral Skull, for instance, is from the UK. Sean mentions, very cool. I used to as well, just beat mixing though. Cool. I was more of the beat mixer as well, so I would do the live shows, a lot of party gigs, and just only like few battles. Like I was never really into the battle side of things. Whereas like I've had other DJs that that grew up with and everything, like they were the turntablists who would just would just cut up anything and cuts and scratches. So for live shows, I would kind of do a bit of that, but I was more of the mixing guy. So I do recall one night where I was like featured for the club, and the cool thing was, one guy's like, how do you know all the BPMs and this and that to mix with everything? And like the music's all in my head. Like when you love an art, an art form so much, like I've memorized many songs and records and everything. So I could just, as soon as I hear one song, I'm already hearing 4 or 5 songs I can mix with that song. So like I just never went by BPMs. Like it's just all in my head.
I like how I came in just, you're like, I was featured at a club and I know music so well, like it's just in my head. And I'm like, God, you're so much cooler than I am.
Well, but
we all have our talents. You have your talents.
It's true. I was gonna say you're the transformer. You're the transformer side of me DJing, and as cool as I sound with DJing, there was one.
I'm a T-Rex.
Do you remember that commercial from the 90s? Like, what's your thing?
I'm trying to remember that one.
Tommy said you have again.
Jess heard me say that, so she just quoted it.
Tell her I said hello.
Spin says hi.
Hi.
Yeah, she said to say hi to everyone anyway.
Cool. I was gonna say, as much as knowledge, and just memorizing it in the heart of music that I had, there was one DJ in the city, and sadly he did pass away some years ago. But he was that DJ where if I hear a song on playing wherever, and I'm like, okay, I could think of 4 or 5 other songs to mix with this. He was that guy where it's like if he heard a song, there's at least 100 to 500 songs in his head that he could hear to mix with it, including the originals, the rare version, the break version. Like he was that guy.
Nice.
Yeah, like we all looked up and respected him. But he did suddenly pass, a few years ago, and it came to that point of I think about 2 or 3 years after, of like what would happen to his record collection, because it's like I had a wall of records, he had like rooms of records. Like he
could build a house out of them.
Yeah, like he was that good.
Oh, how did that resolve? Because I'm like, I think about like people are like, what did people do with Transformers collections after that happens? But yeah, how did that resolve?
I think eventually his parents and I think some family members did decide to either sell or give away some of his records. And it's funny, as large as a city is, as large as Toronto could be, with like however millions of people in the city, the DJ community is a small community and tight knit. So a lot of the older radio programmers who were DJs and everything, and just friends in the industry, would buy some of those records to add to their collection, or just like out of respect kind of thing. Because because it's one of those things where it's like, you know, whatever record you didn't have, like for sure he had it.
Oh. Sounds wonderful. I mean, like, sad that would happen, but like the result, it sounds like a great way to remember a person.
Oh yeah. Sean from Facebook says, had the Techniques MK1200 turntables.
Oh, nice.
Like those were for a DJ. Like those were the turntables. Like for like anywhere any event, any party, and I mean it's funny, you know, me just kind of jumping into this in terms of the music thing. Like many variations and companies of turntables came out over the years, but the Techniques 1200s were the turntable. Like they could handle anything. And again, like, you know, another funny story, one of our friends from school was helping carrying some of my records and a couple of the turntables, and he accidentally dropped one of them.
Oh
yeah, like upside down on like a set of stairs or something. Nothing happened. My
parents are music teachers, so like I know all about these instruments. Oh wow, that would destroy a saxophone.
Exactly. At that point, I'm like, you know, it's one thing. Like I think back then the price for each turntable was between $600-700. But you knew the difference of quality in terms of like, here's a $600 record player that someone just dropped on the stairs, and we just picked it up and we still used it that night, no damage. Like that's quality.
Yeah, that's a product review right there.
Yeah. So whereas like I know other
it turned out okay.
Exactly. Whereas like I know other turntables, like you just slightly bump it off of like a chair onto the floor, the whole side of it's just shattered. Like you just put it in the garbage.
Still have the vinyl of the Transformers the movie. Ah, yes. That is unironically an excellent album, and I bet it's great on vinyl too.
That is one of the best sound movie, you know, soundtracks out there.
Yeah, I'd say Jess's experience with it was I found the CD because she used to work at a used record shop, right? And she hadn't actually seen the movie, and we would just listen to it back and forth in the car because she liked it so much. And that's what made her go see the movie, because she's like, this album's great. I want to see the film that uses all these songs.
That's cool. It's funny you said, you know, listening to it in the car. Don't be the driver while playing Dare or Touch. Or actually, especially Dare.
Yeah. It makes you want to race.
Exactly. You know, once Dare comes on, like that's a traffic ticket waiting to happen.
She's like, is there something I can smash through right when the chorus kicks in, just like in the movie? You know?
Right. So while you were gone, I wanted to hold off going on a few other covers, but there's like, you know, a few odd comic books that I had like just like over the years.
I want to see that Instruments of Destruction song is like the only time they've ever made like the Decepticons seem like kind of cool.
Yeah.
Like the most of the time they're just like edgelord wannabes, and then that song plays and you're like, all right.
That's her review of Instruments of Destruction.
It's true. Like that's a classic. Like every song on the soundtrack's classic, but that is one of them.
Yeah. Okay, so you said you had like a completely random issue there of something called Sledgehammer. It's funny because I read that as the Transformers font, and I was like, I've never seen this Transformers issue that features Spider-Man.
No, it's I know I was saying it's issue number 2. I think they only came out with the one issue and like called it number 2.
Why?
It's, you know, one of those things. Why not?
Okay.
This comic book here. Let me zoom back in. So Archie's comic of Ninja Turtles.
Eastman and Laird's Ninja Turtles Adventures. I'm guessing this is a later thing because they went out of their way to plug that it had the original authors.
Yeah. Because I remember that the original book had like the black and white cover that was, you know, like more of the like the real ninja-esque type of the storylines, whereas like you look at this one and it's like this is almost more like the cartoon, considering it's from Archie's comics.
Yeah. Of its adventures, that says to me like intended for a younger audience.
Yeah. So actually, let's see if I can quickly go back here. There's one issue I wanted to show you the cover of. Where is she? There we go. Let's see.
Ooh,
so number 45.
One of the forbidden circuit breaker issues they can't reprint in most collections.
Okay.
It's their habit of spotlighting random characters. Anybody who's a fan of Skullgrin is a fan of Skullgrin because this was his big issue, right?
Okay. And it's funny, the later characters, I don't recall all of their names. Because it's like I wasn't as much into the later character toys.
Yeah, well, this is a Decepticon version of Hoist Goes Hollywood, because Skullgrin, like, they decided to start using him as a movie monster in their movie, and he's like not super committed as a Decepticon, so he's just like, you know what? Yeah, fine, forget it. I'll just go along with this, do this instead.
Got it.
Yeah, and then Circuit Breaker shows up to make things worse because she just wants to destroy all of the Transformers. So.
Let's see, and this one, all right, part 2. So again, one of the later, later series.
This is the kind of stuff I'm really eager to like get to, because like this stars Thunderwing, and I don't know, I've never read nothing with Thunderwing in it aside from he was in IDW for a while, but he was like a giant monster instead of like a regular character.
Okay.
Because that was when they were all crazy about reinventing things.
And let's see. So here's one. I think it's like one-off issue with Rodimus and Galvatron.
Oh yeah. Okay, I know what the deal is with that. That's an adaptation of a cartoon episode, the big broadcast of 2006.
Right. Okay.
Nobody's really sure why they did that, but in the middle of the run, they were just like, enjoy this one-off adaptation of a cartoon episode that takes place outside of the normal continuity.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay. Yeah, nobody's even really sure why they picked that one specifically. So it's not a bad Sunbow episode, but like people just like, whoa, what was the rationale just picking that one? Whatever, right?
True. Yeah, and it's funny, like just jumping into one of the pages here.
Yeah, there's like quintessons and things which you did not normally see in Marvel.
No. And then Retguard beside the satellite dish.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, another... yeah, so another few covers that I know you'll be eventually getting to. There we go.
All right, more Pretenders.
Yeah.
See if they try and make that concept make sense in Marvel. I guess this is after Optimus Prime came back.
Yeah, like and again, it's funny, not reading these books since I've had them since the 80s or 90s. I will say, from what I do remember reading of them, the Pretenders make complete sense. The concept of the Pretenders make complete sense in the comic books. So it was well written. So after issue 50 is where you'll see that it kind of makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, that's a nice cover. Just the big old battle.
Yes,
that's the kind of thing you blow up and turn into a poster.
That is true.
Yeah.
Oops.
I think this is would this have been the point where Blaster and Grimlock were like fighting for leadership, and that's why it's a big fight?
You know what? Let me go in and see. Again, not having opened this since. Yeah, Grimlock is on the cover. There's like no mention of Blaster. Although
maybe it was Fort Max. Oh, I think it was Fort Max, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, because Fort Max is in the top corner.
Mm-hmm. I'm just working on Pterosaur here, just figuring the instructions out as I go.
Okay, so I kind of remember the storyline of what happens here.
See?
Yeah.
I like stick out. Sorry.
Ooh. Yeah, let me blow this window up.
There we go.
Oh, it's just Hey, look at that. That is a recreation of the part where Optimus blew himself up. Like it's a redraw of that panel.
Yeah, so I remember I remember exactly with them showing this here, what led to the Power Master issue.
Yeah, because they used Power Master tech to bring him back, right? I think. I don't totally know. Remember, this is a little.
That is exactly what happened.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so here actually. Yeah, so it does look like it's the battle of leadership between Grimlock and Fortress Maximus.
Excellent. Yeah, I only know about this because David Willis likes this issue because Grimlock calls him like a bunch of bizarre names like the whole way through. He called him Fruit Loop Multipack for some reason.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. Oh, Power Master Optimus, eh?
Mm-hmm. Let's see. That's 42, and let's see, where is 43? I had it a minute ago. Oh, 44.
Ooh. Cosmic Carnival. Yeah, I've heard about that. That's a Skylink centric issue where.
Yep.
Oh yeah. Rorza, the rocket cycle racer from Rigel 3. Another one that I just know because David Willis loved to make fun of it.
Let's see. Well, I wonder if that would have been. There we go. Maybe.
I shouldn't even say make fun of it because he legit loved these. So, God, I don't even know what that's about. The Sparkabots battle I can't read the bottom word except it's very long. Sparkabots battle the Road Jammers. The Road Jammers. Where have I heard that before?
Oh yeah, so while you were gone, mentioning to Sean in terms of the toys that came out later in G1, that were continued in the comic books. Like for instance, there's one cover with the Micromasters.
Oh yeah. It's Iguanus the Pretender. Yeah, I'm interested to see how they justify the Micromasters. I know there's an issue because it's like famous for being a very silly premise where the Micromasters become professional wrestlers.
Oh yes, that is. Let's see, where do I have that? I saw that cover here somewhere. Here we go.
I wonder what issue that is. Yeah, what's the issue number on that?
Let's see. That would be 55.
55. Oh, there we go. That is the final Bob Budiansky issue. That's how he went out.
Okay.
He was like, forget everything else. I'm going to write an issue about Micromasters doing professional wrestling.
Which I wonder what year this would have been.
Yeah, I don't know.
To tie in, professional wrestling. It's let's see. Volume 1 of number 55, August 1989. So that's a perfect tie-in because that's still at the high point of WWF wrestling.
Yeah. Gosh, I didn't realize he was on the comic so late. especially because they have like 65, 75. They still got 25 issues left, and it's already 1989. It's something I keep noticing as I read through the Marvel comics. The time compression is always different than I expected. It always messes with my head a little bit.
Yeah, because I'm surprised. Like this is 89 as well, and like by 89, I wonder when the MicroMaster toys came out.
Well, yeah, they were. Yeah, that makes sense actually. Now that I say it, because they were 89 and 90, the final 2 years.
Wow, I'm surprised they're that late.
Yeah, it was the last 2 years of the line.
Right.
Oh, by the way, I just got Pterosaur transformed. He's looking real nice. Very the Beast Wars equivalent of Starscreamy. He's got like a sly grin on his face.
Oh, very nice.
Mm-hmm.
The way that you're like, it's looking real nice. You're like want to slap cheeks with fucking Pterosaur over here.
Yeah. Anyway,
one week we're gonna have to get her. Like she's gonna have her own panel on the show.
Yeah. No. Straight up. Hey, Jess. You ever want to come on the show one week?
No, I can show up and just don't expect anything from me.
She said, like, I can show up, just don't expect anything from me. All right.
Issue number 64.
God, okay, so yeah, this would be a Simon Furman one. All these pretenders and a race from extinction.
Yeah, and then there was the Matrix quest. Let's see. So that would have been part 3
that happened way later than I thought. Yeah, because I remember the whole point of it was like Thunderwing was after the Matrix. That's all I know about that. And Nightbeat was like an important part of the story.
Right. Oh, yeah. There we go. There's part 5 of the Matrix quest.
Yeah, this is once again the people that like Thunderwing entirely like Thunderwing because of these issues.
Mm-hmm.
Because once again, Simon Furman just picked a guy at random and said, "I'm gonna make this guy like the big bad of this story."
Yeah, so I really have to sit down and reread them, and I mean, like that's cool that you're going to be, eventually getting into these issues as well.
And it'll take a while. Where am I at? I got the reading list up. This coming week, I'm reading the 4-issue G.I. Joe and Transformers thing issue crossover, and then numbers 26 to 30. So I'm getting there.
Okay. And let me see. There's I'm gonna slightly jump off just the one random. Do I have? Oh yeah, one random comic that I was getting into it for a while.
Jughead. Gosh, people say Riverdale's weird, but I'm like, look, there's a genie there. It's not like there's no reason. The comics were weird too.
Mm. Actually, I enjoyed the Riverdale TV show.
Yeah, that's what I was referencing. I haven't actually seen any episodes of it. I just know it by reputation and friends of mine talking about it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. One and it's funny again going back to someone passing away. The one cool episode is when they did the tribute to Luke Perry.
Oh yeah, because he was on that show.
Right, and then Shannon Doherty showed up in the episode as the tribute, and I'm like, it's always fitting to to have that character relation from the past to show up to pay tribute, in whatever show that character is in afterwards. Because recently I've just started watching Smallville, and I think I'm in season 4. and they did the same thing with Margaret Kidder showing up after Christopher Reeves passes away.
Oh, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he has Christopher Reeve was on that show, right? I think like he had like a guest spot.
Yeah, like he plays a scientist in the show and meets up with young Clark Kent.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I just remember seeing ads for that back in the day. Is this all G1 or is it bleeding into G2, says Sean. Well, we showed a couple of G2 issues earlier, but no, these ones that we're looking at now are all Generation 1 issues.
Yeah, these are all Generation 1.
G2 was like 94 or something like that. This is the G1 comic ended in 91, so there was like a gap of a few years there.
Right.
But certainly you can tell based on these covers that it is gradually acquiring a 90s sensibility to it over time as it goes.
Right. Now what's interesting in terms of the G1 between G1 and G2 explanation that I've given in some forums. Okay, so here's the G2 cover again.
Yeah. G2 number 1. Yeah. That's Generation 2. After all these, same author, right? Oh yeah, it's got the fold out cover. Oh wow, look at that.
Yeah.
That's a poster. That's a poster.
That is a
look
poster,
at that.
yeah.
It's just that is a slice of that is exactly what the time period was like in culture.
Yes. Oh yes. Let's see. And that would have been, there we go, November 1st. So the number 1 issue, November 1993.
Yeah, November 93. So right at the end of 93.
Yeah, and there's the artwork from page 1.
The Game Genie.
Oh yes.
I like that like murky 90s art. They had a really specific kind of speech bubble thing they do. I remember reading about.
Yeah, like the squarish like a squarish robotic speech bubble. Actually, I didn't even remember they had kind of like this layout for like in one of the earlier pages.
Oh yeah, there is the famous Generation 2 sideswipe as lovingly replicated by that masterpiece figure they did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they gave him those guns and specifically because of the comic, those guns and the sword in his backpack and the spiked wheels on his shoulders. Yeah, all the details are like right there from the masterpiece figure.
Nice.
Yeah.
No, I don't think that I had mentioned it on the show. Although it's like in forums, when a lot of people start getting into the G1, G2 debates, going by the comic book, and not by the cartoon series, only because the cartoon series was just rerunning like G1 episodes. But going by the comic book, how I explain G2 to some people is it's almost analogous to Full House and Fuller House.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
Cool, and I mean it's cool that you being you coming into G2 and agreeing with that, because like Full House would be your original G1 characters. G2 is a Fuller House where you still have your original characters in the newer series, but you're introducing new characters with the original characters. So, it's like the dad in Full House is now the grandfather.
That Frank Walker's not doing the barking because this came out in 61.
Wait, what did she say?
I was talking about 101 Dalmatians, and she was like, she's watching 101 Dalmatians on the TV and was like, Frank Welker probably didn't do the animals in this, unlike every other movie, because this was 1961.
Interesting.
Yeah, Frank Welker, of course, if you've listened to an animal in a movie ever, it was probably him.
Oh yeah, I mean
he's like one of the busiest voice actors in the world. Yeah.
Yes, the list of characters is huge.
Yeah, gigantic.
Mike actually makes this.
Oh, Mike made it.
Mike made it. I'm not going to ask how fast you were driving on the highway.
Don't want to know.
Oh, okay.
OPP doesn't want to know. Metro doesn't want to know. York doesn't want to know.
Sean says, what was that cover that had the G2 Megatron? Oh, I think he was talking about the G.I. Joe crossover.
Yeah, so let me go back into this. So I know, and I know you would, being more of the G2, so I'm going to show each of the covers.
Yeah.
So here's the original.
Yeah.
Megatron needs body.
Yeah, so this is the crossover they did before Generation 2 to like lead into it with G.I. Joe, and the plot being like Megatron teamed up with Cobra and he got a tank body in the process, and that's how he got his G2 form in the comics.
So so this is the crossover issue that then leads to
Generation 2, number 1.
Mm-hmm.
He found some surprising things in this bag of comics. Have you ever heard of the Cybertronian, like the unofficial recognition guide?
I've heard of it. I didn't read
it.
I saw it, but I didn't open it and take a look at it.
Yeah, he's got some of that there, and it's like that is like the best guide in existence to Generation 1 figures like ever, because it's just got like really clear pictures of every figure, and like they got all the accessories in photo form, and they got everybody's tech specs up. Like that's like the gold standard. But like these are old, so they're kind of rare. Like you just look at that random page there. That's their entries for like Hot Rod and Blur, and they just so it's just like.
Are you saying that this comic book is very valuable?
Yeah, and like it's unofficial, right? So like this isn't going to get reprinted. So like
this Spin, where do you live again?
He's coming to you from an undisclosed location.
Yeah. That's the funny thing too, and when some people show like their displays, and I'm like, don't mention your address, which is funny because some YouTubers they'll complain about people making fun of them, this and that, and then there's like these other type of forums that really get in and talk about YouTubers, and they'll bring up a point of like, you've got this person on YouTube and they'll make it a point of like not telling where they live, but then they'll show like where their children go to school, show the side of their house, show all the stores that they visit, this and that. And I'm like, you've basically told us where you live. Like, I know that store. I know the street of your school. Like, I know where you live. So at that point, why not just tell us?
The funny part is, excuse me, Marvel, and it's funny that you mentioned this rare and all that, right? Like, and I wish I had brought my comic books, but Marvel, they actually did something very similar to all the living superheroes. All their specs and their backgrounds and all that kind of stuff, and also all the figures that had all the figures, all the other characters had passed away. And if you line up the comic books, right, their front and back, like the front and back art, it all lines up together. It's like one big puzzle.
Nice. Okay.
Right. I wish I brought my comic books down, but my situation, I was running late, right? So I just wanted to get on here.
The comics did that too. They had a comic series called Transformers Universe, and it was just character profiles. And those were like the original Budiansky things, because like what he would do is he would write those and then they get shortened to make the tech specs. So Transformers Universe was just the unedited Budiansky profiles for all the characters.
You know what? I wish they reissue that. Like as a hard copy, right?
Yeah, I know back in the day it got a trade paperback like at some point, but that's the fourth one. So I guess that's the one that had all the movie guys. So that was like the big selling point.
Although my universe issues were kind of like I got these ones I think from like the library after, because I had missed out when they came out originally. So my copies are kind of destroyed, but I still have them. I enjoy them. Let's see if I can find the inner workings of that issue. It somehow disappeared, even though I had it with me last week.
I'll be right back. I just got to do one thing and I'll be right back.
No problem. Right. Yeah. I'm just like, hey, look at Pterosaur. He's really cool.
Yes.
It's a shame you have to get him off Amazon. I wish he were a little more commonly available. And like American Amazon, too, because he isn't on the Canada site.
Wow, that's extremely rare.
Yeah, it's a shame because like if people that want to complete their cast are going to want to grab this guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he also comes with the, like I said, you can get a good look here. So this is the golden disc he comes with. It says Sounds of Earth on the one side, but on the other side it's got. Let me see if I can catch the light. A bunch of alien symbols on it because there was a second disc on the show that was brought to the Beast Wars world by the mysterious aliens that we're watching, and so this is that one.
Nice.
Yeah, that kind of bugs me because I was a space. I loved space exploration as a kid, so I would love a tiny Voyager disc. So, kind of wish he came with that one. But the fact that he comes with any of them is just neat. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't have any valuable or interesting floppies to show here because it's just the current series,
Right.
I'm just I can find the first issue of the new one. Yeah, right here. No, that's Galaxy. Where's the actual thing?
You know what? I'm back. I was gonna see if I could grab my comic books too when I was upstairs, but they're like under a whole bunch of stuff, and I'm like, you know what? It's gonna take forever.
Yeah, that's what happened to me last week. When it was just like, because they're actually in a drawer behind some other stuff.
Yeah. The problem is the wife kind of organized the closet, and she just like how we said, it's like they're behind other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And if I start removing all that stuff,
that's going to be a disaster.
Yeah, there would be a lot of yelling and screaming, right? So,
and say closest thing I got to an interesting thing here is the first issue of the rebooted comic that I keep talking about, the Brian Ruckley one, came out in 2019, and like I said, because they like to use the figures, it's Siege Megatron and Siege Leader Optimus on the cover, so these are the books that use these figures. So, yeah, there's like 30 something issues out here. I just got them all in the box here just because I've been getting them as they come out. And well, instead of vintage Marvel stuff, we have Sonic the Hedgehog on the back because IDW had the license. So,
good old IDW.
Yeah.
Shame what's happening with them right now.
Oh yeah, well, I will say, at least this is happening far enough in advance that they're gonna have time to wrap everything up in this series, right? As opposed to DreamWave, where, like I said, because the company went under, all of a sudden all of their stories just cut off without getting completed.
Well, that's the thing. Well, that's a good thing, right? But have we figured out, or has anybody known who's going to be taking over?
We don't know that yet. Rumor is that it's Skybound, the Robert Kirkman's Image Comics imprint.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because my whole thing is that, sometimes I don't know. Sometimes it could be a good thing or it could be a bad thing, right? So it's one of those things we're gonna have to wait and see. It's just I hope that they can kind of see. IDW has done such a great job, and with storylines and everything. Like one of my favorites, or I mentioned this many times past in the other shows, more than meets the eyes, with Justice League there.
Yeah.
Sorry. Just Justice League. I keep on calling it Justice League. Decepticon Justin Division there, right?
The Decepticon Justice League.
Yeah. And I just hope that they can, and especially with the Lost Light too, right? So I just hope that they kind of continue, banging out good stories like that, right? And good artists as well too, right? It's artistic and artists and drawings and everything.
Here's something for Anthony.
Oh, what am I looking at? Oh, wow! Look at that Beast Wars cover.
Yeah.
What's the context of this? Because that's
I don't recall. Like, it's almost like right in the middle of the book. Like, they just threw in this artwork.
Okay. That's I'm like, it's Optimus Primal, Megatron, just in the exaggerated Dreamwave style. I'm like, I ain't complaining. I'm like, what was this about?
Let's see, where is it in the corner? There we go. So
James Allen Ken.
That's pretty nice, eh? The drawing, like the whole artistic behind it. That's pretty sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So what did we talk about? Because I don't like fill me in a bit because I don't want to kind of rehash what you guys were talking about from the beginning, right?
We talked about the Fan First Friday, and then we started looking at the rare comics that's been pulled out, and just which ones he's got, and what happened in them, and the interesting bits of them and stuff. How far does it go? Do you have all the way to the end?
Let me see. Initially, I believe I had all the way to the end, so it's only because I know some are missing. So I think as far as I got, let's see, the 60s, 65, I think is the furthest that I went.
So I'm gonna do like a shameless plug.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to find any comic books that is Transformers,
and
if you want to sell them or buy some, or you can look at Spin's studio setup.
Yep.
You can go to our free classified site called childrenofprimus.com. And you can post, again, comic books. Today's subject is comic books, lots of comic books. I literally put a specific category just for comic books. Okay? So go in there, post all your comic books, whatever you want to get rid of. If you want to find any, post, search, buy, sell, and it's free. I don't know what you're waiting for.
Absolutely free.
Okay. Did we talk about did you guys talk about like your favorite cover?
Ooh, what a good question. We haven't talked about that.
Okay.
I was already drooling over the Generation 2 covers and how over the top they are with their ridiculous 90s stylings.
You know what? Let me see if I can kind of scroll through some of the covers here. One of my favorite covers out of the entire series, again, is an issue that somehow magically went missing, is issue 50, with Starscream taking up the entire cover after he's taken on the underbase.
Yeah, he was just like, I can flip through my books here, see if I can find there is a cover that I think is really neat that I want to find here.
So some of my older ones, let's see, number 11.
Buddy, you gotta get some plastic bags, man, and bag those things up.
No, this one came like this. Like these were like old ones from the library. So it's
I know. They thought it was me taking those books, man. If you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, no, the other ones are in plastic bags. These other ones that are like ripped up, they were already ripped up before I got them.
I know, but still, put them in a bag.
Yeah.
And then blame your kids after.
I got two real good covers here from Jetfire Source Supreme. I was gonna say I got two real good covers from Brian Ruckley's run so far.
Hold on, wait. Which library did you get that? Is that from North York?
No, not North York. What's the name of the library? York Finch?
York Finch.
Or not
You're
York.
talking, you're talking about right on Finch, in between Sentinel and Driftwood, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the North York one.
Okay. Funny, I didn't recall calling it North York. Unless they changed the name. Like, we never called it North York back then.
Well, we call it the library because that was the only
Exactly. That was the only one that was
yeah,
that was close to us.
yeah. And it was like a really good library at the time too. It's very futuristic.
Oh, it was.
Okay, Anthony, go ahead. Sorry,
Okay,
we're just reminiscing from our back in the days.
Yeah, 2 good covers from Ruckley's run. Let me take these out of the bag so there isn't glare. This is issue 36. It's fairly recent, and it is Skywarp on a throne with a big crown and a chalice and a scepter. Yeah, there we go.
Did he steal that from Starscream?
No, he is a weird character in Brian Ruckley's thing because he's he may not be a traitor, but he's more Starscreamy than Starscream because he's like real smarmy because he was a big player in the war that previously ended because of his teleport powers, and this is about him coming back to Cybertron and causing trouble and just like trying to be king of the scrap heap. So this is just a great cover.
You know what? That I would love to see a figure
that looks like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Skywarp coming up with the throne and the helm, I mean the crown and the scepter and all that. That'd be pretty cool.
Let me find this other cover. Let me just bag this up.
Yeah. So, Mike, a few things that you missed. Just a few funny.
The Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, a few random, comics in my collection.
Okay, so how many comics altogether you guys have? It's not a competition. I'm just curious.
I don't know. I mean, like I said, I have all 30-something of Ruckley's things plus a few mini-series, but like I only started in 2019. Sledgehammer.
That's hilarious.
I wanna be young.
Sledgehammer.
Okay, here's issue 22. This is a great one because it looks like an album cover. This is Team Stream, 3 important Decepticons from this universe. Shadow Striker, Slipstream, and Flame War going top to bottom.
Nice.
And they're like a fun set of characters because they're just like chaotic troublemakers, or rather Flame War is, and the other 2 try and keep her in line. And this is just a great looking cover. Like the
Rise of the Decepticons.
Yeah, that's what they were called. Because like Matrix Quest in Marvel, these have like specific story arcs would get names, right?
Mm-hmm. Sounds like Rise of the Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, but yeah, this is just another like real nice cover.
So I don't have my comic book here, but the one that I really liked, and it's funny and likable, is when Megatron is in another Marvel one. When Megatron was in that black car and he's driving it, and he's like blasted away.
That's not a Marvel one. That's like a kid's storybook.
Yeah,
no.
I know what you're talking about, though.
I know which one you're talking about too.
It was actually there was a Marvel release one. It was limited issue. I got that one. That's my favorite. No, not that one. But I'm saying that was my favorite one when I see Megatron in the black. You actually thought that black convertible was actually. I thought it was at first. I thought it was Batman's the Batmobile.
Right.
Because the way they drew it, the front part.
Number 37.
That was my favorite one.
Actually, I've seen the one that you mentioned. I've seen that featured around in some of the groups. That same cover.
It's like which one's that?
I have found it. I'm going to share it in a second.
Okay.
Cool. Number 38, which
Fort Max versus Scorponok.
There we go. Yeah, so
well,
after
30, we weren't fans.
Sorry?
I'm saying nobody can accuse us not being fans, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because look how much does that comic book cost?
$1. Sorry, $1.25 in Canada.
Do you see? And there it is.
Yeah, it's from the Big Looker storybooks, according to the Transformers wiki.
Doesn't that look like the Batmobile that he's driving?
I just like that he needs to drive a car. I like that Cliff Jumper has eyes on his headlights, and he's like, "Oh no,
you gotta move." That's like one of my favorite. I'm telling you, man. Like when I saw that, that's like the most famous cover that I've seen so far.
Yeah,
that's funny.
There was a bunch of these books drawn in like this painterly style.
Well, just I remember coming across the one. What was it? Optimus Prime laughing, and you see his mouth.
Yeah,
I'm gonna find.
Think about it. Like you're like your Cliff Jumper, and you're driving, and this car pulls up to you, and it's a convertible. And next week, see Megatron pops out of it and like starts shooting. So that ain't Jack in a Box. That's a Megatron in a car. That's like one of my favorite covers.
There we go.
See, now I feel bad. It's like I didn't bring anything to show and tell.
Yes. Oh, there we go. He found it. I've shared this image in many a groups.
Nice. It's just
it's
just like vaguely frightening.
It is.
So you're saying Cliff Jumper? Sorry, is Cliff Jumper Cliff Jumper is actually taller than Bumblebee?
I guess in this version, maybe he's on a platform though.
Probably third prize. I don't know. Go ahead, Mikey.
When you go back and then look at things like years later, and then it's like you just you start you almost overanalyze something. Look at Sparkplug's face. What do you think is going on through his head?
I'm gonna die. These guys are
What
gonna
else?
crush me. I don't know, he's constipated.
He doesn't look very sure of himself.
Yep. It's like when I saw it, like Sparkplug's what we should really be keeping an eye on here.
Yeah.
It's like, get me out of here.
Yep, get me out of here.
And then you look at Bumblebee's face.
Oh gosh.
He's probably laughing. He's saying to himself, "Hey, Close Jumper, just watch for your future storyline."
And then let's go to Optimus. Optimus's face.
Get killed. Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay, that's his face. Put it this way: was that face? He looks like he belongs wearing that helmet. If you know what I mean.
The first time I saw that like years ago in whatever book this was, I'm like, what is this? And you can't forget it. Like you don't forget seeing that image.
Maybe this cover inspired Michael Bay to give Optimus Prime a mouth.
And this was his source material.
Yeah, he was coloring outside of the lines, and he's like, "Oh my god, this is the Optimus Prime we need."
I think a lot about I don't think this exists. The wiki was a big thing in 2007, 2006, but like today, it is known that many official authors of both the TV shows and the comics just use the wiki as a resource. So I'm like, somebody today could stumble across this.
I mean, the plethora of information that the wikis have, like with certain characters, I'm like, wow, like I'm just used to the basic bio, and like, nope, there's at least 10, 15 different bios and storylines for each character.
Yeah, there's like a running joke about Brian Ruckley's Transformers comics, which is because he's known for loving just the most random character pulls, like those three the Team Stream were all just like D-listers that he brought forwards. So people like to joke that when he needs a new character, he's just hitting the random article button on the Transformers wiki until he gets one.
But you want to know something? But isn't that cool? And I say that purposely because it's like, when we watch anything for movies, put it this way, like video media, right? So it could be movies, it could be cartoons, it could be whatever, right? It's always the same characters were always rehashed, right? They're like how you said, your A and B's and C's, whatever, right? The thing I like about comic books is that, you know, they can take it anywhere they want and bring in new characters. And it's like it's a different, like completely different story all the time. And you start to, you know, understanding more of their race or more of their planet, more of the history. And it's just cool seeing just different, you know, just different characters because they bring different stories, right? So I prefer, that's why I like comic books more than well, sometimes I will like comics more than movies or cartoons or whatever, right? Just for that sole purpose.
Well, I mean, again, it goes back on the writing where you know, certain shows or cartoons where the writers have that comic book mindset where they're able to, you know, they have a plot within that episode, but it's still a plot within the season and within the entire series. So it's not just like, you know, not like a show like, say, The Simpsons, where it's basically just every episode on its own and the characters remain the same for like however many years. Like it just doesn't go anywhere.
Well, look at Drift. You know, again, great character in the comic books, right? And all of a sudden he's in Michael's Bay movie. Why is that?
Because he's in the comics.
Well, but it was such a great storyline. But was he in the cartoons, in the original cartoons? Was he ever in there?
Yeah. Ever talk about how when Drift was originally introduced, everybody hated him because Shane McCarthy, the All Hail Megatron guy, created him for that series and plugged him really hard like he was going to be the next big thing. He once said in an interview that the issue where Drift first appears is going to be as valuable as the issue of Hulk where Wolverine first appears. Like that's how he felt about him, and everybody hated this guy. And then later on, when they started Lost Light and James Roberts brought him onto the crew, that's when people started liking him because now a good writer was handling him. So
yeah, but it shows. But look at his back history.
Yeah.
Right. And so, and then now he's again going back on. You know, he appeared in the movie. Right. Why did that happen? Because of comic books. And for me, again, you know, the Decepticon Justice Division. Why do I know them? Because again, comic books, and you want to know something? Again, great stories they were telling, interesting characters, right?
Yep.
It actually wanted me to buy another, like, you know, the continuation of that comic book series, right? And then and now look what finally happened in Transformers Cyberverse. They brought Tom.
Yeah, boy.
Right? They brought many of them, right? But you know, hopefully in the future they could bring, you know, the rest of his division in there. And then you look back at the Ruckers. That's another great you know, example as well, right? So that's why I like comic books over video media.
Well, exactly. Well, it's funny because I mean, exactly as you're saying that, that's why the headmasters, the head power and target masters did a lot better in the comic books than, you know, in the 3 episodes of the cartoon. Like the storyline's a lot better. You know, and the fact that they branched off. Like the fact they also branched off in their own miniseries to explain the characters while the main series was still running.
Yeah, and then look what they did with, you know, with the going back in time, going into the future. Then you have their multi-universe as well too, and I think they did a really good job in the comic books, right? Anthony's face is looking there. I'll give you a perfect example. When Megatron was battling Strax, whatever it was, Straxus, thank you, and was Liege Maximum, right? With that whole series, what happened to Megatron in the end after he got blown up in that time space bridge, right? And then what happened? And then everybody thought he was dead. And what happens after? They brought him back, but he came back as a clone for who?
Straxus.
There you go.
I was only in Marvel UK.
No, but that's the cool part is that you have the U.S. and you have the U.K. Going bouncing the stories between them, right? And then you had Galvatron coming into there, and then they figure out that was Megatron, and then again Megatron getting the new body from Cobra Commander after, right? So it for me, I just love how they could do things like that in comic books, where in TV shows or movie shows you just can't do that because again it costs, just to produce all that, or CGI or drawing, like I don't know, voicing and everything. Which comic books, you don't need to do all that stuff. Just sit down, write a good story, draw some good pictures, and you're good to go.
Can we talk about that cover? Man, Marvel did not like Fort Max because Fort Max gets the shaft, and then in G2 it was Fort Max gets the axe. This guy could not catch a break.
No.
Yeah, there's multiple covers of him just getting attacked,
getting beat up,
destroyed. Yep. Let's see. Between there. Mm-hmm.
So speaking of being destroyed and getting beat up and all that kind of stuff, really my favorite cover of all time is Shockwave.
Oh yeah,
yes.
Are all dead. It's been homaged like way too many times. Like it keeps showing up everywhere.
I know, but I love it, man. It's so terrifying. Like I remember as a kid, and I went to my first ever comic book store, which was on Eglinton and Bathurst. And when I walked in there, I saw that cover. Like I saw everything else, but I just saw that. Like I just went tunnel vision, and I just went straight to that. I was like, "Oh my god, this looks so terrifying! I love it."
Oh, that's a good cover with the Pretender monsters.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I was gonna save a few of these covers until you got back.
Yeah, we were talking about earlier about how they made the Pretenders make sense.
They do, but the cartoon didn't for me personally.
Well, they never made it into cartoon.
Hold on. The Japanese series, they had a whole Japanese series with Pretenders.
Right. Yeah. Not in the U.S. cartoon.
No.
Yeah. What I wanted to point out about the Shockwave cover, which I popped up there, that everybody always gets wrong when they homage it, is that it's supposed to be a bit of a visual joke, because a lot of times they just put "are all dead" and they miss the point that it's supposed to say the Transformers are all dead because of the cover of the title above it. It's just something I've noticed. Yeah.
When I saw that cover I was like, wow. First of all, like the Spider-Man face there.
Yeah.
And but then when I just walked, like, I don't know, there's something about Shockwave, man. It's just
plus this unique. one was like done in a painting style, and most of the Marvel covers weren't done that way. They were like done in the same style as the interiors.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's what popped, and that's what attracted me to that cover. I was like, wow. It's almost like the Walking Dead kind of cover to a certain degree.
Yes.
And it still look modern. When does this issue first came out? What year was it? I forgot.
Probably 85 by this point.
Right. And look at the cover itself. That cover could come out today and it will look modern.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Right, number 42.
Oh yeah. Power Master Optimus.
Mm-hmm.
That's where you like Power Master Optimus, eh?
Yeah.
Well, exactly, because in a comic book he had a storyline, not in the cartoon.
Describing the incredibly strange comic book issue where Optimus Prime's death in Marvel happened because he blew himself up because of the result of a video game that he was playing. And it was not well. Okay, let me run through this real quick. Autobots and Decepticons are attacking like a place because they want a plot device. You know how it goes. The kid who runs the place is like a virtual reality game guy and is like, "Hang on, guys, why don't you fight it out inside the game so you don't blow this place up?" And they come up with this idea where like the Transformers are all going to go in and compete inside this virtual reality thing, and Optimus and Megatron have bombs wired into their heads so the loser dies, and then the whole thing happens. Megatron cheats, but Optimus still wins. And at the end, they're like, all right, we won. We can blow up Megatron. And Optimus is like, hold on. I blew up peaceful NPCs in this video game. This goes against the Autobot code. I have to declare myself lost. And then he tells the kid to push the button, and he blows himself up. And that's canonically how he dies initially. And it's like the worst. Like I like Marvel. Most Marvel's been really good so far as I've been reading through it. This was like the rare time that they just like misfired. But they've had a pretty good track records. But and like they planned for him to come back already, because like the big end of issue twist is that the kid copied his mind onto a disc. So like they'd already planned for it to not be permanent. But still, I was like, this is how it happens. Like, really? Oh yeah, there. Circuit Breaker versus Skullgrin.
Yeah.
Yeah. I said before, like, I plugged the IDW Classics reprints of Marvel, because this is one of the few things where they're allowed to. They managed to get the rights to all the like Marvel issues that they sometimes can't reprint, like the Spider-Man one or the ones with Circuit Breaker. Some collections, like IDW had done previous collections where they had to leave those issues out and just do like quick text summaries of what happened. But like these ones, like they had the rights for a while to just like do the full thing. So like Spider-Man and everything.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm gonna pick that up.
Yeah, they're called Transformers Classics, and you know them because they all have the same like black cover with one character on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, look, okay, so remember I was just mentioning about how comic books could bring in like these new characters, right?
Yeah.
Another great character just came to mind, Bludgeon.
Yeah. Who only people only know him because of Marvel. That's once again, he's another guy that Simon Furman just picked at random and said, I'm going to make you famous and important. Small Pretender #3 in 1989's toy line. Oh, wow. And that's surprise. A Seacon about to eat somebody. That's a cover. Here, move it a little bit. There's some glare on it.
Yeah, to the left.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. That's like pure like
Jaws.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's them plugging the C-cons.
Yeah, and that's why I like the C-cons, because of the comic book.
So go back to Bludgeon. Like I got one of his figures because of the comic books.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah. Like opening this up here, they don't mention it on the cover. But this is the beginning of the Underbase saga for Starscream.
Yeah, when Starscream got gigantic and killed a bunch of people. As you do when you get gigantic.
Yes. That son of a gun. So evil.
I was going to say, I only have one of the little Power of the Primes Pretenders, and the one that I got was Bludgeon just because of his Marvel roles. I was like, might as well if I'm going to get one. This is the one that everybody knows. He's a little tiny little guy, and he's still got the little robot inside and everything.
Such a great character. I wish, whatever cartoon series comes out next, they can add him in there.
Yeah, well, he was in Cyberverse for like a hot minute in like the second and third seasons, but they portrayed him as he didn't have any lines because they portrayed him as like a silent warrior, like Snake Eyes kind of. But like he was just like a samurai with a sword, so he wasn't like major character, but he was there and it was kind of cool.
Wow, this is funny. Again, something else I have not realized since not opening this book since.
Oh yeah,
This is issue 47, but they included the bio in, as opposed to the other issues where like those issues were just the bios by itself.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because these were because Transformers Universe, like they released that in '86, and you know, because Bob Budiansky kept writing these, they would just sometimes throw them into the new ones after that into the backs of Marvel issues as they came out, right? Because they never did another like compilation.
Well, so it almost ties in like how the cartoon, you know, at the end of season 3 would kind of do those little bios.
The Secret Files of Teletran 1 or
Yeah.
Teletran 2.
Yeah. Shit, I've heard that for the longest now.
Yeah.
So, any news? Anything else? What's going on?
Well, we talked about the Fan First Friday at the start of the broadcast about all the designers who, you know, outside of unveiling a bunch of figures, the designers get to talk about them and talk about the specifics of getting the colors right. And they had a bunch of funny technical problems during the stream. So I'm like, they're literally just doing our thing, except they're just unveiling figures.
Oh, which
I see a lawsuit.
It just reminded me, and I mentioned it in the chat. But you know, Calvin, who comes and watches the show sometimes, him and 3 other guys, they have their own like they're basically a show just like us over on Instagram.
Jack
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Yeah,
we should invade them. We're gonna invade them now.
Like I just came across like their show when they were on live, and I'm like, this is crazy. Like it's just 4 guys talking Transformers stuff exactly like us.
So you know what? I think we should I think we should invade their show.
I don't see why not.
We're gonna have to pull an NWO here.
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna say NWA.
Whatever. It's all wrestling to me. But if you want to do that, no problem.
Just
there's some triple changers. See if I can. There we go.
Cool.
Oh yeah, Cold War, and yet Ravage is nowhere to be seen.
Interesting.
Get it? Because he's Russian.
Yep.
Yeah.
If only they knew.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, that's how I read all his dialogue, just because Beast Wars was his one significant speaking part in anything.
That just ruined everything, didn't it?
Yeah, no, it made it
better.
I should
say, I was about to say thank you.
That Stan Lee quote from The Simpsons where they're like, "You ruined it," and he was like, "Ruined it or made it better?"
Let's see if I can find one panel.
Yeah.
So hold on, how many comics did you bust out, man?
A lot. Big old long box.
From like the first show and the beginning of this show as well too.
Yeah. Well, he couldn't find it last show, so he had to dig it out.
Yeah. There we go. So this again, you know, the comic books making you fall in love with a character. See if I can get it. There we go.
Dreadwind and Darkwing.
Well, that and Optimus right over here.
Oh, yeah, just Power Master Optimus in general.
But he's basically shooting from every cannon. Like, because I remember in the storyline,
every cannon.
Careful now. But I remember in the storyline, it's like whatever battle was happening, it's one of those rare moments where Optimus was just completely upset with everyone and everything happening. So he just he just shot at everything at once. Yeah, like that's the Murder Prime right there.
So you're trying to say he got pissed off?
Mm-hmm.
He's just pissing on everybody. This is canon.
Now.
Hey, did you tell YouTube at the beginning, we're an adult show, we're not a kiddie show?
I feel like that was probably pretty clear from the get-go.
We mentioned it at the end of the show.
All right. For your kids that are watching the show, ask your parents for permission.
Mm-hmm. Or forgiveness afterwards.
That too.
Actually, I was watching this one.
Or you know what we should get? Hold on, you know what we should get? Remember back in the 90s when you were going to like a porn site and then you had that button. Are you over the age 18?
Oh gosh.
Yes or no? And
What
you
does
know
that
everybody.
actually do?
Well, I was about to say, because you know all those young kids were hitting the no button, right?
Yeah, exactly. What does that actually do?
So I think we should do the same thing too for our show. If you're over the age of 18, you know, you have to continue or no to, you know, to get off.
Just press
Well,
the yes button for
Yeah, I
liability
was
purposes.
just
By the
watching
way-
a comedian on YouTube the other day, and in the live audience, someone had their son with them, and their son was probably like 7.
Oh,
And the
wow.
comedian's like, yeah, the comedian called it out and like, hey, this guy has a son here, and it's like, you're gonna have a lot of explaining to do to your son after this set.
This is apple juice. Yeah, so if you like this show, speaking about buttons, hit the like button. It helps us out with the algorithm.
Comment and subscribe.
Comment and subscribe and all that millennial stuff, whatever, you know.
The millennial stuff.
I don't know. Here's something funny. Speaking about millennial stuff, so apparently a buddy of mine, his company had to get all like senior management to watch this video about how to treat their employees. But it's especially made for the millennials.
Oh, those are always anytime a company tries to like appeal to a demographic, just period, point blank, it never goes well.
It's like, don't worry, it's okay. You're my friend, right? Oh, you're drunk today? It's not a problem. Go home, sleep it off. Don't worry, but I understand. You know. And if people are wondering why we're talking about this on transfer, it's the transformation from the old guard to the new guard, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So there you go. That's why we call OGs. Bunch of old guys.
Here's another interesting cover.
Is that Fort Max again getting beat up? Oh my God. His head's on the ground. I mean, it's not a big deal because he's a headmaster, but slaughter on the slopes. He's covered in tow lines like an Empire Strikes Back, and his head's on. Look at how mad he looks on the ground. He's like, what the hell?
If I like lace all of these out between like every time they just they really hated him.
Fortress Maximus was the largest, most expensive figure in the line. You'd think that every cover with him would be him beating up everyone else and winning so they could sell more of him.
Beating, more like stepping on them. That's all you need to do, right?
Or shooting him with his 200 guns that could flip out of him from all those different places.
Yeah, but yet he's like multiple sizes.
Yeah.
Right? Or that's one big tiger coming after him. Right? But it's like that video that you posted on Facebook. You know, everybody falling.
Oh yes.
Right. So you gotta put out a video with Fortress Maximus losing his head.
Like,
you think you got a headache? You think you got a migraine or a tumor? Check out this guy.
Check out this guy.
You know?
Get a load of this guy over here. Am I right?
Holy.
Funny
God.
Yeah, doing the Spike video, I'm like, there's a couple that I missed. So I'm like, the amount that they have of Spike falling all everywhere, and I'm like, that's just a handful of them. Like, there's many more where he's just tossed around and falling all over the place.
What does that look like? One of those flying killer tomato type enemies from the original Doom. You know the ones.
That's what it looks like.
Yeah.
Oh my God, killer tomatoes. Which part?
I know that they're not actually the killer tomatoes, but the Doom enemies.
I know what you're talking
about. They fire the fireballs.
The funny part is there's actually a movie called, it's a B movie, right?
Yeah,
Killer tomatoes, right?
I know about Attack the Killer Tomatoes. I was making a comparative analysis.
I get.
Oh yeah, that's that cover.
Next,
They're trying to appeal to their audience,
Mm-hmm.
to their core demographic.
what's the back? What did it say on the back cover? The back of that comic book? I don't.
Double zap your zits. Oh man, they really knew who this comic was for. Like straight up, between the front and the back.
Which
Which
one was that? Was that Oxy?
Claricel.
Claricel. Yeah, there was Oxy and Claricel.
Yeah, it's like, you're reading this, so you are a teenage boy, based on the front and the back.
Oxy,
Let's just go through all the previous issues, and we'll go through all the backs. So
fresh from the sewer.
Okay, is this like the original Ninja Turtle where they're actually like, thugs? And they're actually beating up people and killing people? Or is this like the nicer version?
Well, what's it for? As I see a Playmates logo, so I think this is an advertisement for the toys.
Yeah, this is a toy one.
Yeah.
Oh, but that's an Eastman and Laird comic, so yeah.
Right.
Because the original comic book, like the original Ninja Turtles, were actually in black and white before they hit color, and they were actually much darker.
Oh yeah, I know. A friend of mine's like a huge Turtles
comic
guy, so I learned it all from him.
Yeah.
Take command and Kryn. What is that? What is this like for? That could be anything.
Video game. Was that Activision?
Dragon Lace.
I'm like that's cool art, but I couldn't tell you what they're
That's for
selling.
Activision. I think that's Activision.
100 and Dragon Lace. Yeah, you know what? They're really they really don't mention what it's for.
Yeah.
Okay, and then there we go. The back of issue Headmaster number 2.
I got that.
Yeah. As soon as I saw that, I was like, "Whoa, that's a blast from the past."
Wow, and crazy irony. So Headmaster's number 3, the back of
Oh my god.
Meatloaf.
Yeah. Like what a coincidence. I know.
Meatloaf and the Marvel heroes interacting with each other.
Straight out of hell.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. Another
one giant set for Dragonkind. Oh, is this? Oh, the future is here for millions of AD&D, Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. So these are tabletop games they're advertising.
Oh, okay. I thought they were for Activision at the time.
There you go. And back of issue 38.
We're looking for a few good mutants, Marvel superheroes.
Look at Wolverine in his glory.
Mm-hmm.
Like the amount of Wolverine images, when you go through like the Marvel comics, and then there's the one where he's got like knives and forks and then like spoons, coming out as claws. Oh wow, there's definitely dating when these comics came out.
Those are Atari.
It's Konami games. Konami games for the NES, I think. Yeah.
Nintendo.
NES, yeah, no.
Oh, yeah, Castlevania. NES? They got Castlevania there.
I thought that was for Atari.
Yeah, no. It's a little later than that.
Damn.
But hours spent on Castlevania.
Yeah.
I know, eh? That and Ninja Turtles were like one of the hardest ones.
Castlevania survived being so difficult because it specifically had that like killer soundtrack of music.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. There we go.
I remember this.
In front of
Robinson Galvatron. What is that?
Chips Ahoy.
Chips Ahoy maze on the back. Oh, they wanted you to draw on the back of your comic.
Yeah, I'm like, nope.
Imagine doing that today.
Oh, I know.
Comic book people will have like conniption fit.
There we go. So, and then on the back of it,
You're up.
Ooh, Metal Gear. So they're talking about the Metal Gear for the NES, the very first one.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
wow.
the cover had traced art of Kyle Reese from the first Terminator movie on the cover. I immediately recognized it in the corner.
Nice.
Talk about go back in time, man.
Yeah,
I know.
yeah. Before Metal Gear was solid, it was just Metal Gear.
Oh gosh.
Welcome to the 25th century. What is this? It's a board game.
Shit, I played this game, and
Really?
I'm trying to. Yeah, I played this game, and I'm trying to figure. Oh my god! Oh,
What's it called? I can't see the name
Rogers.
from here. Oh, Buck Rogers, eh?
yeah. You're trying to take over planets and all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like war.
There's a right.
Wow.
Wow. Oh, yeah, it's a Bubble Bobble for the Nintendo Entertainment System.
That game, you know what? I used to play this game on my Commodore 64.
Mm-hmm.
And this game was so bloody addictive. And the reason why I was playing on Commodore 64 is because the arcade games were just sucking all the quarters that I had in my pocket, man.
Mm-hmm.
One of those, like
kind of
that and Street Fighter. Yeah. Bubble Bubble.
Bubble Bobble. I like that so many of these were like Nintendo games because I'm a Nintendo guy, so like a lot of this is very familiar to me.
Nice.
Commodore 64. Look, we had Nintendo, we had Atari, and Commodore 64, and ColecoVision.
Yeah. I started late. I had the Game Boy line of handhelds pretty much up until the GameCube came out. But that's not me being young. That's me getting into consoles really late.
A few of us had Game Boys. And a few people actually would remember to bring the linking cable so we could have Tetris battles.
Oh, I had Tetris on the Game Boy, and like I would just play that for like hours sometimes.
Yeah, like that was the game.
Yeah, that was our
Yeah.
Candy Crush.
Yeah,
That's true.
People are like, how old are these old guys?
it's cross-generational. Everybody understands Tetris.
Oh yeah. Well, it's funny. Like if you work like somewhere where they ask you to like pack boxes in a truck, they're just like think of Tetris.
Yeah,
Like,
no, straight up.
That's your training.
Every time I gotta pack anything, I'm just like I'm gonna Tetris this.
Mhm.
This is what my wife
The
do.
theme music starts playing in your head.
Nah, you know what I do? I hit second player.
Yeah.
And that's when I get my wife to do it. Right. That's when you get married. I don't know. Am I right to say that? If you agree with my statement, comment below. If you disagree, comment below too.
So do we like make this video private?
I don't know. They're probably gonna, in the future, watch these videos 10 years later and then bring me back on there to apologize about test rates. I don't know.
Trying to think if there's any other cool back covers here. Oh, it's Schwinn bikes.
Oh, nice.
Mm.
Who is?
Yeah, no
That's
idea
like-
who that is.
I don't know.
It's just so weird that they're like Dungeons and Dragons, video games, acne cream, and bicycles.
Yeah, like random.
It's like it's aiming for a completely different demographic.
Well, you got to think about it. We didn't have Uber back in the days,
Yeah.
right?
Actually, you know what? Looking at the time frame, because let's see, issue number 52 came out in May of '89. This actually makes sense because I remember our after-school job in '88, '89. Some of our friends were into doing trick BMX stunts. So I mean, between Schwinn, Red Line, having the gyros, Sorry.
Raw.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah.
this ad actually fully makes sense within that time frame.
Yeah, I had to make my BMX from spare parts, if you know what I mean.
I hear that.
Yeah. And paint, spray paint.
Oh yeah.
People are wondering, what's he talking about?
The inquiring minds want to know just what the hell.
Back in the days, there was a lot of bikes that were left in, in dumpsters and in the back alley dumpsters, and we had to put pieces together and paint it.
That's it.
Right.
At what point do you qualify for an engineering degree from making that work for you?
This is true.
Experience.
Actually, Mike, did you see the
I went through my apprenticeship
stuff?
Sorry.
Did you see the G2 covers or
No, I saw a couple of them. Not all.
Oh
of them.
Yeah, lovely fold out on issue number 1, which I'd seen issue 1's cover, but I never saw that fold out before.
Right, and then there's the G2 one.
Yeah, I saw that one there too.
Yeah, did you see that?
And the fold out?
No, I didn't see the fold out one.
That is like I want that on a poster. That's just
why do comic books don't do that today?
Like what? Have 90s art?
Yeah, like folding up and stuff like that. Like, what the hell, man? Be creative.
Yeah. Well, it's like old school album covers.
Yeah, basically. My instinct is that it's a budget thing, because this was the point. Yeah, well, this is the point where the speculator market was nuts, so they were just pulling out all the stops to try and make every issue they could like as flashy as possible. Oh yeah.
It's the back of this cover.
Gentlebots start your engines and get ready for the ride of a lifetime.
This guy's causing pollution here.
Yeah. Look at that big old 90s weapon and his like grimly determined face, and look at how angry Hot Rod looks.
Yeah, sure. Look, you know why he's angry? Because he's looking at Optimus Prime. He's like, Matt, your blaster is more tripped out than mine.
Yeah.
Right. And Optimus Prime is like, yeah, man, because I imported my stuff. He met up with Dom from Fast and Furious, and he's like,
oh gosh, they're all family.
Yeah.
He's like, you owe me a gun that goes a millisecond. Right? And Prime's like, okay. And then Hot Rod got jealous.
Wait a second. Okay, so again, issue 2 of G2.
Fort Max gets the axe. This is why we're like, wow, they really hate this guy.
Yeah.
Look at Fort Max's middle of his head. He has like what's called the
Red Cross logo.
Yeah. It's like, guys, help me out here, man, please.
Medics can't
interesting
save you now.
Like cutting through some of the pages. So again, Fort Max getting just getting beaten up as usual, but then over here.
Yeah, who are these guys? So,
Snake guys.
Oh,
G.I. Joe.
Oh, G.I. Joe's still in this, eh?
Yeah, I didn't even realize that.
See, when are they going to do a cartoon series on this?
Yeah, good question. I'm surprised they never crossed over in the 80s neither.
Like, I'm waiting for this. Like, we talked about this in many other shows, right? Like, all the crossovers that they can do. It'd just be nice if they finally did something like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, we had the one G1, old Snake guys there, right? But the whole point is that I would love to see something like that.
Yeah. More than just cameos.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the Dreamwave cover. I think you saw that one.
Yeah. With its exaggerated style.
It's like
anytime you see I said before, anytime you see an Optimus Prime and the windows on him have white borders around them, it's a Dreamwave comic, because for some reason they consistently drew him that way all throughout it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, the Armada comic. Yeah, like I said, I have in fact, I can go pick it up off the shelf. Just give me a second.
Cool.
Like, how big's your pile, man?
Sorry?
Like how many comic books do you have all together?
Um,
Like in Transformer wise?
Like I said, I have
not
I
a
have
lot.
like 2 shelves that's just trade paperbacks of Transformers. So like, if you want to talk compilations, I got a lot. But yeah,
like Anthony, I could tell has a lot. Like I don't like, I just have a handful compared to what he has.
Yeah. Get this out of the way.
See, I lost my box.
See what I got here is this is IDW did this later on. Like this is a little it's smaller than a regular comic too. It's like a paperback novel. And it's the whole 18 issues they did Dreamwave did of Armada just in an omnibus. And yeah, I said this last week, but like the Armada anime was not very good. This was definitely the better version of the story, because they just like wanted to do the Marvel thing like from the 80s, where they're like, we have the cartoon and we're going to run the comic that's like a different continuity. So yeah, this was like, if you're interested in Armada, this is the version of the story to read, you know.
We're all quiet.
All right. Well,
gee, thanks, guys.
Yeah.
No, you know what? I'll take a look into that.
Yeah.
I wasn't really too crazy about the cartoon series Transformer.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. Like I said, me neither. Right. But like that's why I was like, the comic version. Like I don't think it's like the best, but like it's definitely it's like a properly well written for like a comic reading audience take on the story, just from start to finish, you know.
Yeah.
And Simon Furman, he didn't start on it, but he picks up later on and writes the back half of it, so it's got, you know, his touch to it.
Cool.
Actually, here's another random book. What year is this from? I don't see what year it's from, but it's like a random
Toy Fair, Twisted Toy Fair Theater,
Free G.I.
Joe comic. I immediately zoomed in on that too.
But what's cool, just flipping through the pages, is, let's see if I can get back to it. There we go. So Anthony, do you know about this?
Optimus Prime Polystone statue. No, I don't know about that. But it's because I don't keep up with like the statues and things.
Okay.
Well, here's something. If you want to keep up with your statues, on Children of Primus, we have a classified section that actually sells, or
specifically for statues and things.
Statues. If you got any statues or bust or anything like that you want to put on our classified site, it's free.
Wow.
What was that, Mike?
Speaking of bust, let's see if I can move over to where
Shockwave Metallic Mini Bust, Shockwave Predator 2 Skeletor. Some things never change. You could see these released today, and they'd be the exact same type of thing.
Yep, only 250 of them ever released.
But you see what I'm talking about? It's always the regular suspects that are being printed, or being sold in a sense, right?
Being
nice.
Busted.
Yeah. So it'd just be nice if they could put some like different characters that we don't know about in a sense, right?
A hubcap bust.
Yeah.
Straight. give me one of those. Hubcap is Cliff Jumper with a new head, so make a Cliff Jumper bust and then retool it. There you go.
Agree.
I'm convinced there's gonna be a masterpiece hubcap. You know why? Because they're making a masterpiece Cliff Jumper. All you got to do is give it a new head and a new color scheme. Easy retool right there. I think it's going to happen.
Well, just to let you know, that was copyrighted. February 6th.
Wolverine.
Yep.
Yeah, you can tell that's from the 90s.
Oh, yeah. Well, we are almost hitting at the 11 o'clock hour.
Oh God.
I know compared to last week, we're like 10 o'clock. Now what do? We have time.
Yeah. I'm like,
So
oh my
what's
God, it's 11.
news for today?
I've just been transforming Kingdom Pterosaur
nice.
back and forth. A Muppet line. Hey, look at that.
That
That's
would be a
crazy, man.
cool collection. Yeah.
I remember as a kid, they had the Happy Meals
Yeah.
with the Muppet Babies and the Muppets.
I had a few of those.
Remember, everybody wanted those.
Yep.
Oh my God, man, that's crazy. Oh well. So I gotta start wrapping up, guys, because it's 10:57 and I'm tired.
Yeah, I just want to point out I changed Pterosaur back into his pterodactyl mode. This
Oh, when'd you pick them up?
this guy came in today. He's an Amazon exclusive.
Oh wow.
Yeah, real nice figure. I've showed off both his modes during the show just because I've been flipping them back and forth.
Yeah, I know, because I saw the advertisement for him, right? So I was like, oh, cool. I'm sure you're gonna pick that up for sure.
Yeah, it's yeah, like the Kingdom line. Like I said, as of me having gotten Tigatron here, they did all the Maximals from season 1. They didn't quite have space to do all the Predacons, so this guy had to be like an Amazon exclusive with their boxed collection of stuff they do, and then the Tarantulas and Inferno were going to be legacy guys, but they almost got through the full casts, and that's pretty impressive for one line. They never done like all of season 1 of like G1 in one go, but they did all of season 1 of Beast Wars.
Do you have the original Beast Wars, Anthony?
No, not anymore. Nick had a bunch of them, as you probably saw at the show. I picked up a reissue Rat Trap. Yeah, I don't have many of the originals anymore. I had some of them back in the day.
Mhm.
Nick had some of them back in the day. But yeah, I've just been picking up these new ones.
The reason why I asked it'd be nice to kind of compare the original to what you have right now, right?
Yeah. And I did that with Rat Trap because I picked up his reissue and I did a comparison with his Kingdom version later. The little one-step guy where it pops out.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And I was like, Transformers were perfected in 1996. Look at this.
Mm-hmm. Actually, before we wrap up, Mike, did you get a chance to watch the Hasbro Pulse?
No, shame on me. I didn't get a chance because
go and watch it.
I was just tied up. I read your guys' comment, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I just wanted to watch it, and I just never got an opportunity to do so, right? So hopefully I'm planning tomorrow.
Yeah, that's understandable. Right? I just had it on while I was at work because I have multiple monitors, so I just put it on another small monitor. So
yeah, same here. And I mean, it's Anthony that pointed it out because I would have totally missed it. Because I didn't know about it, but in terms of the toys and everything that they all mentioned, it was really impressive looking at them, especially the RC. The RC was one of my favorites.
Yeah, the Bumblebee movie RC, which is a good design. So yeah,
that's right. It's right. It's based on the Prime RC, Transformer Prime.
Changed it to like a motorcycle, but with 2 wheels up front. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, Ant, what you got on Monday?
Oh yeah, for Monday.
Yeah, like I hinted at, the last Maximal in Kingdom, Tigatron, who turned out to be one of the best. This guy's real nice, and yeah, I got his photos done. I took some nice group shots with all of the season 1 Maximals now that they're all out. Yeah, he's the one that's coming tomorrow. Friday, who knows? I pull something from the archives. It's roulette. But I'm trying to get all the Beast Wars guys wrapped up now that Kingdom's done. So I think probably next Monday I'll look at Waspinator because I haven't written him up yet. And he's the last mainline Predacon they put out. And I guess Pterosaur the week after. Yeah, I'm just gonna get these guys cleared out and then get to some other stuff after. And yeah, that's what I got going on.
I'm just yawning. I'm not yawning at you, Hans. I'm just yawning.
Oh, I know. I've been yawning a little bit here and there. It's time of night,
man. You know what it is?
Mhm.
You know, I don't know about you guys, but for me, it's like January, February for me is it just kind of sucks the energy out of me.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Right? And not that I get depressed or anything like that. I just feel sluggish, right? And until March comes around, that's when I start. Oh, okay, more light on me. Like it's so January and February for me. It's just so hard to get through these 2 months, man.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's naturally. I mean, the Earth is further, or at least where we're located on the Earth, we're further away from the sun. So you start losing, that natural sunlight energy, and then certain days, especially the last couple weeks, like in the summer, you have to be somewhere at 8. You just basically wake up out the door at 7. But the last couple weeks, you got to wake up at least like 6, shovel, do all this and that. So you've already done a job before you're even going to your job. In the dark,
that's right. Yep.
And then you leave in the dark, you come home in the dark. So it does drain you.
So, well, and that's like, okay, because I still got, a younger child, right? And it's like to get her ready.
Yeah.
It takes like another hour to get her ready, right? So it's like, oh my God, man.
I'm always thinking about I got to be careful because I work from home, right? I always try and make sure I go outside for a little bit while it's sunny during every day because it'd be very easy for me to work from dark to dark because of how the days go.
That's a good routine. And, what I say is unfortunate is say some people who work night shifts or certain places where they're surrounded by artificial light. So just like constant, neon lights and this and that, and that drains you as much as it's trying to simulate daylight. It doesn't work.
And the cold doesn't help either too.
Yeah.
Like the past couple of, well, not so much today, but the past couple of days from last week kind of thing is like, oh my God, it's so cold. Oh.
No, the last few days have been amazing. I mean, they kept talking about this -20 and this and that, and I'm like it's nice outside. It's only -7. Like the last 2 days have been really nice.
I don't know about you, man, but where I live, it was cold, man. Maybe because I don't like the cold. That's one thing.
Maybe because I'm closer to the lake.
Probably.
So it's probably a bit warmer down here compared to where you are.
Yeah, because I hate the cold. And people look at me, oh, but you're Canadian. You should like the. No, I hate it.
No, that's why we have snowbirds. You leave in October, come back in April, or you just leave. Stay where it's year-round, summer and spring, and that's it.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So we're able to wrap it up, but before we wrap it up, again, we're gonna have you guys and girls and everybody to check out Anthony's reviews on Mondays, Fridays. Is his flashbacks. You can all check that out at childrenofprimus.com. If you want to find out any other news that's happening around the Cyberverse, again, go to childrenofprimus.com. And if you got anything to sell or buy, or you just want to look at stuff, whatever, we have a thing called The Classifies at childrenofprimus.com. So, check it out.
And
I dare you.
Anyone watching the show afterwards, come by our channels: Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Instagram. Like and comment any of our videos, pictures, our funny stuff, and and thank you to BZ from Facebook, Sean from Facebook, and Spectral Skull from Twitch for coming out and joining the show. Tonight, asking questions and comments, and we appreciate it.
Well, you know what? If there's any feedback, if there's anything that you want us to do, or you think that you think that we'd be pretty good at doing, listen. Normally, there's 4 of us, and we're just a bunch of goofy guys that love to talk about Transformers. So if it's fit our characters to do something that you want us to do, hey man, send it to us, and we'll try our best. I won't promise, but we'll try our best.
And attempts will be made.
Yes. Well, and
Sure.
on that note, yes.
On that note, I'm going to attempt to go to bed after this because I'm a tired person.
Exactly. Well, thank you again, everybody. We really appreciate it.
Yes. Yes.
All right. What do we always say? Peace out.
Till all are one.
Mhm.
Pterodactyl.